It's Saturday, the 18th of April, 2026. This is a big issue on 97.3 City FM and on Channel 1 television. I am Umaru Sandamado. The big issue is that show on TV and radio which discusses the big stories of the week, and that's why we call it the big issue. If the issue is big, it makes it onto the big issue, and we have the very big brains to do the analysis for you. And this week, boy, do we have issues to talk about. There are legal matters around the existence of the Office of Special Prosecutor. Is the office going to cease to exist? Would it go down? Would it become a department under the Attorney General, or it will bounce back very strong? We'll talk about a decision of the High Court that has sent a lot of set a lot of confusion into the system in relation to the Office of Special Prosecutor. Then the Iranian leaders, at least the military ones, have said that they have opened the Strait of Hormuz. Does it mean that all the fear about shortage of fuel and the resultant price is over? That is some conversation that we are having today on the big issue. We'll be talking to the experts who understand the situation. This is a big issue. Join me with your views on our WhatsApp number 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996, or 0204 447 033. That is 0204 447 033. Send us your messages on WhatsApp. If you are more inclined towards Twitter, which has been renamed by Elon Musk to be X, then do mention my handle at Umaru Sanda or at City973 when you send your messages on Twitter, now known as X. This is the big issue, and you're welcome.
In a world where digital media is taking over, one conversation is bringing the past, present, and future of media together. The Africa Media Bureau invites you to a one-day media convergence conference uniting faculties of media and communication studies, industry practitioners, regulators, and technology partners across Ghana. Theme: Media Convergence in Ghana, rethinking traditional media in a digital-first era. A bold conversation on how traditional media and digital technologies are transforming media practice and education. Date: 29 April 2026. Time: 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Venue: La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. If you are a senior media practitioner, a CSO engaged in media advocacy, or a lecturer or trainer in media management, this conference is for you. WhatsApp 0503 332 375 to register. Be a part of the conversation shaping the future of media. The Africa Media Bureau One-Day Media Convergence Conference is powered by the Africa Media Bureau in association with the School of Information and Communication Studies, University of Ghana, Legon, and it's proudly sponsored by MTN, Haptel, Margins Group, and GCB Bank. The Africa Media Bureau One-Day Media Convergence Conference, connecting minds, transforming media.
This is more than news. This is your story. Channel 1 TV, telling your story, empowering change.
No power.
Another year is here. A new beginning, a fresh opportunity to draw closer to God and to one another. This family month, your family radio station, 97.3 City FM, invites you and your loved ones to something truly special. The 2026 Family Consecration Service, a sacred gathering where families come together in prayer, faith, and unity. It's a moment to dedicate your home to God's loving care, to seek His protection, His guidance, and His peace over every household. Come and experience divine connection as we pray for strength, restoration, unity, and direction for our families. Married couples will also have the opportunity to renew their vows, reaffirming in love, commitment, and purpose. The date is Friday, the 1st of May, 2026, from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. The venue is the Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel, Accra. Bring your entire family and come expectant. And let's commit our homes into God's hands. 2026 Family Consecration Service is powered by 97.3 CDFM with support from Channel 1 TV, because the family that prays together stays together.
Calls me up in the power for Christ the solid.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome back. This is a big issue on Channel 1 television and on 97.3 CTFM, broadcasting from Accra and also live on our YouTube platform and a number of platforms across the country, radio stations that carry this particular program. The big issue is a show that does the analysis of the big stories for you. And this week, there are two stories we are dealing with, and one of them has to do with the law, that is the domestic law, and then the other one has to do with international law, and whether it would affect how much you pay for your trotro or not. We start off with the one that is the local law or the Ghanaian domestic law. It has to do with a decision that was rendered by the High Court in Accra, which decision may well let Kisie Jabin and all the people who work with him to go home. That 11-story building that they occupy, they might as well just park and go home. So we use the office for other more useful things. And this is because of a decision that the judge has given. And the judge's decision is to the effect that every prosecution that the Office of Special Prosecutor has been engaging in already should be transferred to the Attorney General's Department. If there was any conviction that was secured, well, there was no conviction secured, but if there was any conviction secured by the Office of Special Prosecutor, that conviction was a nullity, which means that that person can go home free. They said that the Office of Special Prosecutor Act was passed due to a political campaign promise, and that because of a political campaign promise, there was a legislative, what was the word that he used? There appears to have been some re-engineering that was done by the legislature to ensure that a law was created against what the dictates of Article 88 was. He said that the Office of Special Prosecutor has no warrant to prosecute, and that's where they talked about the quo warranto. Then the High Court jurisdiction issues came up, whether or not the High Court had the power to determine an issue of constitutional nature. He said that there were no ambiguous or rival meanings placed on the text, and so he had no reason to even worry going to the Supreme Court, and that he had jurisdiction, and he went ahead to execute him. So that is the issue that has come up, and everybody's talking about it. The question is, can the High Court decision bind other High Courts? At least it is binding on the OSP and on the Attorney General. The Attorney General has served notice that they would take over, they would take steps to take over all the cases. They've also said that they would give the warrant if needed or if demanded. But would the OSP demand that warrant? And if OSP demands the warrant, does it make the office truly independent as we are seeking to portray? Let me introduce my guest in studio for the conversation. I'll be joined via Zoom by Franklin Kujo. He's president of Imani Africa, a think tank, and he will be speaking with us on this matter. We'll also be joined by Justice Abdullah via Zoom. He's a lawyer and a law lecturer at the Faculty of Law at the UPSA. We'll also be joined shortly by the Member of Parliament for Akwatia, the Honorable Bernard Bediako. I have in studio now the Duncan Amwa, who is Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Duncan, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Sanda, you're looking good, so I'm fine.
So if I'm looking, your being fine is dependent on me being
Of course, if you are not well, then we are not well, but you are fine. So
the price wars we witnessed some time ago, I think there's a new price war happening, even though that is a bit subtle without watching and breakfast. Are you seeing something like that? As in a price war towards reduction, not increment? Because
you see, it works in the interest of the OMCs to attract volumes. And so anything that they would do at any time, just to be able to get not only competitive, but to be seen by the consumer, they would. And I am happy. Anytime I hear that, oh, JP has gone down, Star has come with a price, and now it looks as though a few have been left, you know, at the very top. Initially, they were congregating towards a number, but now it looks like they are more in a hurry rather to, you know, go down so that the consumer recognizes that they have stuck with them. Let me commend Star Oil again.
They are doing well, eh? Very well. Let me bring in someone who once was in charge of this industry. I'm talking about pricing. He is the Member of Parliament for the people of Gusau and he's a lawyer. Honorable Hassan Tampoli, welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much, Umaru.
How are you? I should have said Dasuba to you.
Dasuba, nah. To Masum. Then you respond, nah.
Nah, okay, Toshiki now.
Then we can do the Fulani bit.
But you can't speak Fulani that well. If you could, I would have tried. Jamwali.
Jam.
How are the people of Gusau doing?
The people of Gusau are very fine. We had some windstorm about 2 weeks ago.
Windstorm?
That really devastated a number of properties, especially public schools. About 12 or 15 of them, you know, suffered various degrees of, destruction. And almost about 250 homes. So families also suffered the same fate. But our preoccupation is to see to the restoration of the school so that in about a week or two, when school reopens, at least the students will be back in school. Otherwise, on rainy days, they have to stay at home. So there are some schools that completely got their roof completely ripped off.
Wow.
There's nothing on top. Quite a number of them.
And it wasn't a rainstorm, it was a windstorm.
So windstorm, just accompanied by some
drizzle,
small drizzles. But the wind was, very, very strong.
But is this a usual thing in your area?
No, this one is very, very unusual. And it's even, the way that the constituency is. So, for instance, if you are coming from Nanton, from Tamale, you are going to my constituency. When you leave the last community in Nanton, you get to Limo. Then the next one is Zinindo. Both of them my hometowns. My grandfather used to be the chief of Limo. Now, currently, my father's senior brother is the chief. My father is in Zinindo. My cousin is the chief of Digbla, which is the next community. All of them are in Gushegu. Then the next two communities, Yamo Karaga and then Yapala, they are in Karaga constituency. The next community on that same road
Yapala
is
means
Ga.
Newtown, right?
That's right.
Okay.
The next community is Ga, which is in my constituency. Then you go all the way to Karaga, about 5 communities, before you now head towards Gushegu. So that's how it is. So somehow, the communities that were affected were the ones that were in my constituency.
And they left Karaga peacefully.
And somehow it didn't affect Karaga. Okay.
Maybe
and inside Gushegu Township, we had some serious problems.
Maybe the former finance minister used, finance powers to divert the winds.
So that's what really happened. And then just last week again, we had some clashes between some communities that resulted in the Interior Minister imposing curfew on some 11 communities. It's been a long-standing conflict. But we're hoping that, peace would have prevailed. One way or the other, they haven't been able to come to terms with the situation. So it spilled, and then there were clashes. But fine, cool heads are prevailing. Security is large and in charge. And I'll keep on appealing to the people let's give peace a chance. Let's Jojo.
We'll be praying. Yeah. We'll be praying for your constituency, Gusau. I love the name. I'll go and get some land to do a
We have a very sizable, Fulani community over there. In fact, there are some communities that have more Fulanis than the indigenous.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there are some communities.
And doing cattle or
they're
other
doing
things?
Cattle
Crop
mostly,
farms?
and they're doing crops.
I see.
So they've basically integrated into the communities. There are some of them when they speak Dagbani, you wonder whether
they are young
really
and
full,
grand-
exactly, whether they are really Fulani.
I see. I'll come and get a plantation and do a maize farm.
Please come on. We have plenty of it.
Let's talk about warrant now, because I don't know whether you have you have the warrant to give me land. But let's talk about the warrant of the special prosecutor. You're a lawyer. You were not in Parliament when the draft bill was brought to Parliament, which became an act of Parliament. It was a campaign promise. The judge who presided over the case, in his judgment, said that what was seen was a clear usurpation of powers of the Attorney General, and that it was an attempt to satisfy a political campaign promise. So they did legal gymnastics and engineering to come up with the act. What is your reading of the judgment, your position on the decision?
Thank you very much. I think that, first of all, we have to look at what the Constitution says, and then we come and look at the Act itself. So the Constitution under Article 88, 4 especially, we can go to 3 first, which says that the Attorney General shall be responsible for initiation and conduct of all prosecutions of criminal offences. That's it. There's no ambiguity in this provision. Now, 4 says, all offences prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law. Simplicity. Now, the Attorney General's overarching authority as the sole authority for prosecution of cases has been very well established. And in addition to that, the law says that any other person may also be authorized by the Attorney General to proceed to prosecute cases on behalf of the Attorney General. So in this regard, for instance, when I was Chief Executive of the MPA, I wrote to the then Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, requesting for a fiat for the MPA to have lawyers who can prosecute cases related to the downstream. But the police was doing that on behalf of the MPA. And there were a lot of the issues that they didn't have the understanding of, especially with regards to the downstream industry. So we said that, look, based on some discussions that we have had, let's get that kind of fiat. And subsequently, Madame Gloria Kufu, in December 2020, gave us the fiat to be able to prosecute. And that fiat mentioned exactly what we could do. Now, let's come to, so this is just one way of doing it. So the Attorney General can give you a fiat. It comes by way of executive instruments. So ours was EI 378, and that's what the MPA uses to prosecute cases on behalf of the state. Now, let's come to Office of the Special Prosecutor Act, 2017 Act 959. And if you permit me, I'll just read the long title for good effect. It says that,
before you go to the SPC,
yeah,
I would appreciate if you explain further the EI that was given you, the procedure to get it.
The EI that was given. So we wrote to the Attorney General, we gave a background that in view of the dynamics in the downstream petroleum industry and coupled with the technical nature of the industry, we have been collaborating with some security services, but we are not getting the full effects of that because some understanding of the downstream industry is missing as far as, some of the people that we are dealing with is concerned. So we are writing to secure a fiat for us to be able to take on cases that happen, especially violations of the MPA Act, and specific to violations of MPA Act.
So does it mean you have lawyers who go to prosecute?
So we have lawyers.
Okay.
And then I indicated that there were lawyers at the MPA who will be doing this on our
So it
behalf.
wasn't a letter, it was an executive instrument.
So it was an executive
So
instrument.
that, when we say the warrant, that's one of them.
That's what it is,
Okay.
EI. So there's an EI. And that EI doesn't go to Parliament.
Okay. But it has to be laid to mature?
It doesn't have to be laid. It is not an LI.
Oh, this is just like the
Or a
imposition.
CI.
This is like the imposition of a curfew, for
Precisely.
instance.
That is the kind of power that the Minister for Interior has been using to impose curfew, to declare public holidays, and so on and so forth.
So this is a fiat.
That's the kind of. So it's just a fiat. That's what it is. And then the Attorney General will, on the basis of all that we have said, draft a fiat and then send to us saying that you have been granted authorization pursuant to section so and so. They don't even make reference to the Constitution.
Okay, it's just the Act.
Make reference to the Act and the powers of the Attorney General under Act 30.
So if you go into court and the judge asks you what your warrant was or your power, then you can produce this and say the AG gave me power to. Okay.
That's what we do.
And is it what happens with the motor court, where the MTTD people are prosecuting?
That's right.
With the Senate court on
Saturday
morning,
Senate
the rent court.
You have the GRA prosecuting, civil aviation prosecutes.
I think the rent people also.
Even the district assemblies have the power to prosecute.
Okay.
You have quite a number of agencies that
all
have
to come through a warrant from the AG.
So exactly.
Okay.
So that's what happens.
Now let's go to the OSP.
So you do one, you can do so with a warrant. Mm-hmm. Alternatively, you can do so by a law.
Law, let me.
I don't
mean to be interjected.
Yes.
Does it have an expiration, or once you obtain the warrant as an institution, does it have?
It doesn't have any expiry date until the Attorney General revokes that EI.
So it's for the office, not for
It's just like a curfew.
Okay.
They say that, okay, this curfew has been imposed, and then they will be assessing the security situation until they revoke the curfew. So until it is revoked, it remains in force.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happens.
Okay.
So my view is that Attorney General can exercise this power under Article 88(4), one, by giving fiat, this kind of warrants and executive instrument, or two, by coming through a law. And in this case, we have Act 959. And like I said, I wanted to read the long title.
Okay.
It says that an act to establish the office of the special prosecutor as a specialized agency to investigate specific cases of alleged or suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses involving public officers and politically exposed persons in the performance of their functions, as well as persons in the private sector involved in the commission of alleged or suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses. Prosecute these offenses on the authority. Prosecute these offenses on the authority of the Attorney General and provide for related matters.
This is the third line in the law, in the Act.
That is it. So it is in recognition of the overarching effect of Article 88(4), which says that Attorney General may do so himself or through others. Now, don't forget that laws don't just come to Parliament. Laws are sponsored to Parliament by various ministries or government agencies. So this law, to all intents and purposes, was sponsored by the Attorney General. And the Attorney General is communicating this to Ghanaians, that you are to prosecute these cases on the authority of the Attorney General. What does this mean? What does this mean?
Come for a fiat.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, it means that this law is sufficient.
So you think this settles the matter?
This law is sufficient.
Okay.
And the law proceeds to say under Section 4 that subject to Clause 4 of Article 88 of the Constitution, the office shall, for the purposes of this Act, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution of corruption and corruption-related offenses. Now, immediately you get to all of these things, there's only one irresistible conclusion: that the Attorney General who sponsored this Act, brought it to Parliament, and provided for an agency like the Office of the Special Prosecutor to prosecute cases on its behalf, is deemed to have granted authority.
So for you, this is explicit.
This is explicit enough. In fact, it goes on to provide in the LI.
The supporting LI.
The supporting LI.
For the office.
LI 2374. And specifically, if you read
11.
What's the name? 11. If you read Regulation 11, it says that the special prosecutor or an authorized officer shall, upon considering the facts and evidence gathered from an investigation, take a decision whether or not to prosecute. Now, this was done during the tenure of Honorable Gloria Akufo. Are we saying that this law relates only to the tenure of Gloria Akufo, or it binds subsequent Attorney General?
Okay.
If this law continues to remain in our statutes, then it binds any other Attorney General who comes to that office.
Okay. I want to.
And so you cannot say that the office of the special, and let's be very clear about something. The position that we are sharing here has nothing to do with the personality of the special prosecutor.
I get you. So I want
It has nothing to do with the
I have
personality of the special
I have a
prosecutor.
quick counter for you.
Yes.
You read the long title of the OSP Act.
That's right.
For you, what the long title says means that there's an express warrant given. Let me read for you the long title of Act, the IOCO Act, the Economic and Organized Crimes Act,
That's right.
2010. Now, if long title is a warrant,
No, long title is an aid.
Okay, good.
So it is in recognition of the authority of the Attorney General.
Good.
That's what it says.
So I want to tell you something. I want to read for you the long title of the Economic and Organized Crimes Office Act 2010.
Sure.
And it says, an act to establish an Economic and Organized Crime Office as a specialized agency to monitor and investigate economic and organized crime, and on the authority of the Attorney General, prosecute these offenses to recover the proceeds of crime and provide for related matters. This is similar to the OSP Act as you read.
Right.
However, the IOCO has still had to go to procure a warrant, an express one, which was given to it to prosecute, despite this long title. So if you are saying that the OSP Act, the long title satisfies then the IOCO also satisfies it, but they still went ahead.
Don't limit this to the long title. I'm talking about the long title.
No, because you use the long title to make a debate.
I'm saying that the long title is a recognition of the powers of the Attorney General under Article 884. All right? And it's made that recognition in the long title. Then I went on further to state under Section 4 and LI 2374, and to inform you that by virtue of what has been provided for in the Act, the Attorney General can give a fiat by way of an executive instrument or by the passage of a law. And this law, to all intents and purposes, is meant to provide the powers to the Office of the Special Prosecutor to be able to prosecute cases without any further recourse to the Attorney General.
And I'm suggesting to you that it should not be so based on the reading of the judgment. The judge holds the view that you need to get a specific warrant to support you. So you cannot just go to the law and say that the law has said so, and so I am coming here to prosecute in the name of the law. If you look at his judgment, he referenced IOCO and referenced other state institutions that have been engaging in prosecution and the EIs that they rely on. For him, there should have been an express EI, like you were given at the NPA. You don't agree?
You know. So the difference between this one, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and some of these acts that you are making reference to, is that, you see, we have seen a situation where the Attorney General is incapacitated most of the time in prosecuting some cases, especially if it had to do with some of his colleagues in Parliament or in Cabinet. So the whole idea is to find a structure that will insulate the person away from any executive or political or legislative or any other interest.
So that's legislative gymnastics.
No, that's not. I think that is even an unfortunate part of the judgment. I have read the judgment, 26-page judgment, and it is lucid. except that he had contaminated the entire judgment with that particular, reference to legal gymnastics.
You think he went political?
How does the judge determine that this was in pursuance to a political objective?
He said it was a manifesto.
Exactly.
Promise,
why didn't he make reference to it?
He took judicial
So
notice.
did he make reference to the particular? Everybody talks about corruption. Every election, corruption issues come up. So how can you relate it to only one political administration? Even the NDC in 2016 was talking about corruption. Everybody was talking about corruption. So what we are seeking to do by way of legislation is to see what are the areas in the powers of the Attorney General that we are seeking to cover by bringing this. For instance, Attorney General can enter a nolle prosequia without giving reason to anybody.
For an OSP case?
No. I'm saying that Attorney General himself can prosecute cases and at any point in time can enter a nolle prosequia.
Or withdraw.
Any case without recourse to any. It doesn't have to give reason to anybody. Under the OSP Act, the OSP can also enter a nolle prosequia, but he is bound to give reasons. And these are some of the things that Ghanaians said, no, but the Attorney General shouldn't just have the power to just withdraw cases without giving reasons. So in dealing with that situation, the OSP has been mandated to give reasons.
Okay.
Why? Because you are an anti-corruption fight agency, and so you must be transparent. Okay. Tell us why you are withdrawing the cases.
Let me go back to the...
So as far as I'm concerned, the judgment, as lucid as it was, also fell short of some, elements. And I believe very strongly when it was urged on the High Court judge that the issues that were framed by the plaintiff himself, by the applicant, says that upon a true and proper interpretation...
Sounds constitutional.
Upon a true and proper interpretation of Article 88(4), the office of the special prosecutor's position is unconstitutional. That should have touched the mind of the judge. So look, my colleague on the other side, on the criminal case, has made a referral to the Supreme Court. And so let me, on the basis of Article 130 of the Constitution, which says that any lower court that is handling a matter and there is an instance or a hint about something that has to do with constitutional interpretation, must sort and draft a referral to the Supreme Court for an interpretation. So you cease proceedings and then you refer. But when the Supreme Court speaks, everybody is guided.
But he said he was not doing interpretation. He said he was applying the law.
And that is where the gymnastics came. He rather was doing the gymnastics. The judge rather did the gymnastics and wriggled himself away to interpret the Constitution by saying he's not interpreting. He said that he's enforcing, but he's not interpreting the Constitution.
He said there was no rival meaning or ambiguous statements. The wording of 88 is very clear, and that's what he was applying.
Look, even when there is no rival meaning, and somebody says that the action of this particular person infringes on some aspect of the Constitution and is in violation of the Constitution, the constitutional enforcement is in the bosom of the Supreme Court. So you make the referral.
Let me take you back.
Wash your hands and then come back.
Let me take you back to the long title you read and the issue about the warrant that was given you as MP. And let me say, Bernard Bediako, MP Akwetia, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Hope you are doing well. Okay, let me just read this part of the judgment, ask your comment, and I'll go to him. I'm reading the judgment. Some public institutions and state agencies to whose officers prosecutorial power of the Attorney General have been delegated include the Economic and Organized Crime Office to enable them prosecute offenses under the Economic and Organized Crime Office Act 2010, Act 804, i.e., the appointment of Public Prosecutors Instrument 2020, EI 62, officers of Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, to enable them prosecute tax-related offenses, i.e., the appointment of Public Prosecutors Instrument 2004, EI 5, lawyers working with the Electricity Company of Ghana as prosecutors in respect of any action that arises under the offenses related to the supply of electricity, i.e., appointment of Public Prosecutions Instrument 2010 EI 38, to mention a few. The executive instrument EI mentioned in the preceding paragraph illustrates the clear meaning of the steps the respondent was expected to take pursuant to subsection 2 of Section 4 of Act 959 to obtain authorization or lawful delegation of the prosecutorial power by the Attorney General to the Special Prosecutor. What the judge has said is that you, Hassan Tampuli, at an office which is not even in a legal office like the NPA, you are supposed to buy petrol and sell petrol or regulate petrol sale. Even you decided to go to AG and say, give me an EI to empower me to go to court. ECG, they do electricity things. They went and said, give me a power, and they gave them an EI. Why would an office of special prosecution with prosecution in your name not go and get the EI? That's what the judge is saying.
When the NPA law was passed, it was supposed to regulate downstream petroleum industry. ECG law, they're supposed to distribute electricity, downstream. All these other people that we are talking about, they're supposed to do things which does not include prosecution. In fact, prosecution bit that they are requesting for is an incidental occurrence of their functions. But the office of the special prosecutor is created to prosecute. And the law that was passed was sponsored by the Attorney General. And pursuant to the law that was passed, the Attorney General also introduced an ally. In fact, those allies and acts, they are passed by Parliament, all right, but they are sponsored by somebody.
So it's implied.
Indeed, the ally, Parliament doesn't even have any rights to touch it. It has to mature after 21 days. It is now that we call pre-laying. So before you even lay the ally, the Committee on Subsidiary Legislations and the relevant committee would take a look at what it is that you are coming to lay before it is even laid. But that's not even constitutional. And then when it is laid for 21 days, it matures. So it doesn't even lie in the mouth of Parliament to even tinker with it.
Okay.
Parliament can only by 2/3 majority throw it out. Okay. But what it means is that the Attorney General has brought this. Now, the thinking that I'm seeing now is that this Attorney General is probably saying that this one binds the Attorney General who did it. It's not me. And I find it very, very curious because you see,
I'm not sure he said that.
But you see, they're saying that impliedly, because all
they are simply saying that there's no warrant.
But it does,
and they are ready to give it if you ask.
There is no better warrant
than this
one.
Okay.
Than the acts and then the ally. There's no better warrant than that one.
Honorable Member of Parliament for Denchimbo, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Did you bring us some diamonds this morning? Or the Akwetia diamonds are finished?
No.
I know you're wearing a diamond watch, so that should suffice.
I show you the diamond.
It looks white.
Is it the mission?
Sometimes you got to take
You are putting his life in danger.
Oh, it means that someone cut off his wrist.
You see,
But it looks white, so I thought that I heard that diamond is white.
Substance is diamond, but
how are the people of Akwetia doing?
Diamond. They are doing well, very well.
Mining still happening, or
Akwetia, we can't stop mining. Legitimate mining.
So it's legal mining happening. People don't have Galamsey problems.
Well,
we have small
crime is everywhere. So that one, and it is not something. If I knew about the crime happening anywhere, my duty would be to report it. So I cannot say there is illegal mining because I have not seen one yet. But I know they are into mining. You see, the legality or otherwise is a question of fact. And it is, you can only establish that after a few checks. Just by seeing the person mine in a particular place is not enough to conclude that.
Yes, illegal mining.
Yes, so unless you get close.
Okay.
So that is not something I can actually, but Akwetia is into the business of mining.
Very well. Very well. Let's talk about this OSP matter. You are a lawyer.
Yeah.
You have seen the judgment, you've heard the debates. What's your standing on the matter? What's your position?
Thank you, and good morning to yourself, your team, and my big brothers, then the viewers, listeners, watching and listening, and then the good people of Akwetia as well. Yes, I have, and I've read the 26-page ruling. I've listened to some commentaries. I have my own views about this. Let me state first and foremost, I'll look at it from 3 different dimensions. What we sought to do by introducing this OSP. I've always had this view that we would run into problems. So I'm not surprised we are where we are.
Even at draft level, at
There is, before I even start, let me state that for me, there is nothing wrong with the bill, which is now Act, which is the law. There is nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
There is absolutely nothing. I could see the struggle at the time. It was expected because you needed to couch it in such a way that it doesn't conflict with Article 88. And they did exactly that.
So you do legislative gymnastics?
Well, you may use those things.
I don't use that. I'm referring to them, my lord.
I'll come to the ruling. So we needed to do something which will be consistent. Of course, you can't do anything inconsistent to the Constitution. And so there was, but you see, we are running into those problems because of the mischief we sought to cure with the OSP Act and law. That is why we are where we are. Otherwise, there is no big deal. There's nothing wrong with the law, and I'll tell you why. What was the mischief? We thought that the Attorney General, being an appointee of every president, because he is by virtue of that appointment also the Justice Minister and sits in cabinet, he would not be able to prosecute, people who are in the government. And also, he's at the beck and call of the president, who can fire him at any time. So we thought that we needed a more independent, and that is where the problem is. The independence, the notion that we needed an independent body to have this done for us. If you needed that, and you want to promulgate the law, which will be seen to be independent, then that's where the problem, because of Article 88. Because the Article 88 gives that mandate to the Attorney General, who has that exclusive mandate to deal with prosecutions. So if you want an office which would also do prosecutions independently, then you run into problems. So that is why we are faced with what we are faced. Because, and you see, the occupants of the seats, Mr. Martin Amidu, Mr. Kisia Jabin, have all, because they came into the office with that notion that they should be independent. Complete.
No subject to
no subject to, but it is a wrong. Yes, it is completely wrong because.
But is that not what we were seeking to do?
That is the point I'm making. That's what we were seeking to do, but it cannot be.
So we created a wrong impression.
A wrong impression.
So the law was okay, but the impression of the people operating the law.
Yes, because Article 88 is an entrenched provision. It is in there. You can't do anything about it. But you want to create something, independent of Article 88. It cannot be. So that is why we are where we are. Otherwise, there is no problem. And I say this, let me explain further. You see, so for me, the current quagmire we find ourselves, for me, is more of the attitude of the occupant of the seat, with respect. And I will explain.
The current or the previous
current.
Or
well,
all
maybe
of them?
All of them. But let's deal with what we have today. Because, you see, like I said, there is nothing wrong with the law. The law says, per Section 4 of the OSP Act, that the act that establishes your office, you leave every other act. Your own act that brings you to is telling you that per Section 4, you need the authorization of the Attorney General. And it couldn't have been any different because of Article 88. So Parliament was careful in coming up with that provision because you surely need it. So why are you not going for it? That is why I have a problem. In fact, that is the summary of this whole quagmire we find ourselves.
Your colleague lawyer thinks that the act, which is a law, is an express, or I'm not sure if it's implied warrant that has been given to the OSP. Because
I'm not too sure.
I have spoken to a very learned person on this matter, and he said, listen, the draft bill came from the Attorney General.
Yes.
The Attorney General babysitted that bill in Parliament until it became law. When the law was passed, under the law, the Attorney General nominates the special prosecutor.
Yeah.
It's not the president. Attorney General nominates the special prosecutor. Then the president refers that nomination to Parliament. Parliament approves, and then the president accept. If all of this happens, would you say that the Attorney General doing all of these things, you bring a law, the law matures, you even nominate the person, and you say you haven't given the person warrant? What kind of warrant would you give beyond that?
So let me. My view on this is that, regardless, I still hold the position I hold, because this provision is not a provision for a particular Attorney General. So you don't choose what you do with it as an individual in the office. This is the Constitution of the Republic. Attorney Generals may come and go, but this is the law. And this deals specifically with prosecutions. Don't forget, the Attorney General's, the OSP's office does investigations as well. So for me, this particular law is for prosecution. And we all know, it's not in doubt, nobody disputes the fact that it is the Attorney General who has that sole authority to do so.
And you're saying that the law doesn't
No,
provide...
because the law, you see, get into the law. I mean,
Yeah, he has read the long title.
No, so read, what does section 4 of that law say? What does it say?
Honorable Hassan Tamboli,
So,
you are the acts man, so
Yeah,
you...
we've read it already.
Yes.
yes, you read it.
Yes.
Respectfully.
It talks about the
especially
discretion to
section
prosecute
4.
others.
No, I would like us to read the entire section
Okay.
4.
Section 4.
Yes,
Except as otherwise provided in the Constitution.
yes. And we understand
The
what it
office
means.
is not
sorry,
subject-
Sorry, Chief. So when it says except, it means that the Supreme Court,
Subject.
yes,
Subject to the
the
provisions of the
superiority of the Constitution is not in doubt. So anywhere there is something that contradicts what you have
You
put
go to
here,
the
you go
Constitution.
to the Constitution. So please proceed.
You see, the office is not subject to the direction or control of a person or an authority in the performance of the functions of the office.
Yes.
That's what subsection 1
Yes.
says. Subsection 2 says that subject to clause 4 of Article 88 of the
Which
Constitution,
we've been talking about.
the office shall, for the purposes of this act, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution of corruption and corruption-related offences.
So,
So
it
it's
didn't
clear.
say it's
How
hereby
does this-
authorized.
No,
Please.
how does it authorize?
No, in fact,
How does it
even
authorize?
before you go to the
How do you
authorization,
authorize? Does the
Honorable
law say
Tamboli,
how the authorization should
I
be
see
done?
a conflict between subclause 1 and subclause 2.
There isn't. And I
There
was
is.
there's
There
no-
is, because you are saying that the man is not subject to the control of anybody.
subject to the Constitution. That's why I stressed on that.
Okay, so then
if
you are
there,
going
you
to
have to
88.
go there.
Okay.
Yes. So if there is a provision that
Yeah.
limits his authority,
Yeah, you
the
go
Supreme
there.
Court is the Constitution is supreme here.
So you're saying that this should have been put into effect by
By the
writing?
AI. Normally, and he has said so. That is what has been happening.
Now, what I'm saying is that, with respect,
Oh, no,
with
no
respect,
problem.
it says that the shall, for the purpose of be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct, be authorized. What is
Shall
the nature?
be. It
Shall
didn't
be
say
authorized.
it's hereby authorized.
Please,
Shall
let me
be.
just, I'm just helping you.
Okay.
Shall be authorized.
I'm
What
sure about
is the
that.
nature of the
I'm
authorization?
telling you.
How is it supposed to be authorized?
He said the nature
Are
should
you
be an
supposed-
AI.
should be an
Are you
AI.
supposed to do it by an LI or an EI?
In any form.
And there is an EI.
There's an ally.
There's an EI. There's
No,
an
no,
EI.
no, an LI,
There's
not-
an LI.
Yes.
All right.
Which
And
LI?
the LI. And this is the
There's an
LI.
LI for the Office of Special
for the
Prosecution.
Office of Prosecution.
Yes, and what does the airline
And
do?
the
I have
LI,
read
for
it.
instance, says decision to prosecute.
Yes.
The special prosecutor or an authorized officer shall, upon considering the facts and evidence gathered from an investigation, take a decision
Yes.
whether or not to prosecute.
Yes. So when
So
you
the decision
please
is
allow
yours.
me,
It's
allow
not
me,
that you should
allow
refer
me.
it
No,
to the
no,
Attorney General
There is
for-
a wrong. No,
You understand?
respect.
Take a decision.
May I
What does
be-
take a decision mean?
Okay. But it
But
does
you
not,
see,
does
I
it
am
say,
saying-
no, does it say the Attorney General has given you the decision?
this
The
is
power?
what-
That is the Attorney General's law.
You can decide it's word prosecuting.
You understand?
It does not mean you have the
The
power.
procedure in
You see,
prosecuting,
this
the
law-
procedure in
this
prosecuting, the law
was
tells
brought
you to
into
go to the
being by
AG
the
and
Attorney
seek.
General.
Okay,
So
Honorable.
the Attorney General can buy an EI,
Yes.
or in this instance by an LI, because you see, this is a specialized body. This is a specialized body because
if
this is the only agency by law that has been passed to prosecute cases. All other agencies are to investigate.
I'll come to you.
SRAJ investigates, YOCO investigates, NIB investigates, BNI investigates, CID investigates, everybody. But this one, they said that you should prosecute. So this is in a different class
Honorable
of the
Bediako,
agencies that we set up in this country.
the point he has made, I want you to consider, but I also want you to think of what I said earlier. The AG brought the bill. The AG ensured the bill is passed. The AG nominated this person. He became a special prosecutor. The AG brings an ally which says you can decide to prosecute. Why would you then say all of a sudden that the AG hasn't blessed the office to go ahead with the work?
So this is the point I'm making. I'm answering you. I'm saying that all these could be done, and they were done by the AG. But I started by telling you that because of the peculiar nature of Article 88(4), when it comes to prosecution, you may do all the whatever you need to do. But when it comes to prosecution, the power is the sole one of the Attorney General. And so you need the authorization from the Attorney General. You see, we are where we are because the Attorney General is also saying that we have not given the authorization.
Yeah, that's what they have.
That is what they are saying. That's why I said that.
And even if you go to the Supreme Court matter, it's even worse.
You understand what I'm saying? You see, what I'm trying to even put across is this. The law, Article 88(4), is law for the office of the Attorney General. Attorney Generals may come and go, but that is the law. You see what another Attorney General is saying? So if a previous Attorney General, assuming that the previous Attorney General thought that it was fait accompli, you can proceed, do whatever. Now a new Attorney General, assuming that is the case, is saying something else. So it is about the supremacy of the Constitution, not a person. You understand? You see, but let me make this point to you. For me, and that is why I started by telling you that there is a fundamental problem if our expectation is to have an office independent of the Attorney General when it comes to prosecution. Having said this, I must also say that I have, in terms of the ruling we have before us, I think that the judge was right, in my candid opinion.
You agree with the judge?
No, but there are some aspects I disagree completely with. He was right in his understanding or his appreciation of the law when it comes to Section 4 of the Act, of the OSP Act, vis-a-vis Article 88. And I agree with him on that. In fact, it's not ambiguous. It's not ambiguous at all. It's a straightforward thing. You need the authorization, just like every other agency or some other agencies have.
And you don't have the authorization.
And you don't have. So if you don't, then there is a problem. But let me also say this, that how did we come this far? This was not under the auspices of the Attorney General, this particular case. It was a private person whose lawyers, of course, and as lawyers, when you go to you look at the facts and the law. Sometimes you also strategize legally how you can get your client, free. So they raised this issue with the trial judge. And the trial judge in the criminal court suspended proceedings pending what the Supreme Court will say, because there was another matter in the Supreme Court. Then they now filed, and what they filed that has brought about this ruling was pursuant to Article 33 of the Constitution, human rights. And Article 33, of course, is the High Court that that application of mandamus, the authority we are talking about, that show us your authority to prosecute. This is a private person, I would do say.
Which is a power given to the High Court.
Absolutely.
Supervisory power.
Oh, it's not really supervisory, but the High Court,
the supervisory jurisdiction.
It's supervisory power.
Of the High Court.
Yes.
But you see, when the High Court is a human rights court.
Yes.
Do you understand? It's a human rights court. So if you feel that, of course, if somebody is prosecuting you and he doesn't have an authority. So he went to the High Court, he filed a mandamus application for the court to compel the OSP to show proof of his authorization. But I am of the opinion that whatever we are discussing now, of course, eventually when the Supreme Court rules.
Should the High Court judge have held on and referred this matter to the Supreme Court? You think? So you agree that he engaged in interpretation? Do you think so?
The matter that was before him had nothing to do with interpretation.
Okay.
It had
even though the reliefs were specific.
Yes.
The relief said on the true and proper meaning of article.
No, but
The moment you have
of
that,
course, there are
interpretation-
copious authorities that also say that the Supreme Court has said that we interpret the Constitution all the time.
Yeah.
It's not every occasion where
You run to the Supreme Court.
run to the Supreme Court necessarily. The mere fact that
Okay.
or mention of a provision of in the Constitution
Okay.
does not guarantee automatically that you run to the. But let me also say this. I personally believe that the judge acted in excess of his powers.
In regard to which issue?
Okay, so how can a matter that has been brought before you, for me, a mandamus application, show proof of your authority? You are done with it. I agree with the way he went, even though I thought that he should have stayed and then waited for the Supreme Court. But his interpretation of the law, that for me, I agree.
Application of the
the
law.
application of the law. Oh, he can interpret an act, not the
Yeah, he can
Constitution. He
interpret-
can
of
interpret
course,
an act.
of course.
So he interpreted the OSP Act. He has that mandate.
And apply the
And
Constitution.
applied the Constitution.
According to him.
According to him. But you see, where I don't even hear us talk about more is the way I think he exercised excess of his jurisdiction is where he even said that all cases
Should cease.
should cease.
And be
For me, he didn't have that mandate at all.
So the power.
Because you know what? You don't even know that whatever ruling we are talking about now from the High Court is not binding on any other High
Other
Courts.
high courts.
Exactly.
So if today somebody goes to Akimodan High Court and similar is confronted, the judge may say it's only I mean on persuasive grounds that you can raise. It's not binding. So the High Court judge at Akimodan can say, or Chebi can say that I don't agree with him.
So
And there
that
will be nothing wrong with it.
so that order cannot be enforced.
So I'm not, and that is why I have a problem with what I heard. If it is true that there was a case subsequently, and then two people, the AG was there, and then if it is true, I don't know whether you can confirm that to me. And then the OSP lawyers were also in court, because for me, that particular order of the court
Overreached.
overreached.
How about the part where he said that if there's been any conviction,
imagine?
that one should also is
the
not.
High
Which
Court-
means if there's anybody in Sawam should
you
go
can do
home.
that. You are not the Supreme Court. You don't have supervisory jurisdiction over your colleague High Court. You don't.
So if someone is in Sawam today who was jailed by any,
No. The High Court judge for
but
me.
if it was a district court, then maybe let me. I'll come on into it. Let me just and.
There are a few other things
I'll come around the table. I just want to bring another view because I've heard a few. I'll come to you, Fonya. Give me a second. I want to go to Justice Abdullahi. He is a law lecturer. Justice Abdullahi, you're welcome. Sometimes they call you constitutional law expert. You're welcome. The action that the High Court judge engaged in, did it amount to an interpretation of the Constitution or an application of the Constitution? And do you agree that he has overreached his bound?
Thank you, Umar. It's a privilege to be among my seniors here at the bar. Umar, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
You have
So
the
as I
warrant.
was
You have the
saying-
warrant to proceed. Justice, can you hear me?
Let me take advantage of the warrant and then
Go to town.
Okay.
I have listened to a lot of the submissions of my colleagues for the past 1 hour, and I cannot resist but to agree with most of what they said. I mean, what they have said. I think the beauty of the law is that it is always the case that when interpreting, interpreting it from this angle, lawyers tend to agree almost unanimously to the position until a matter sends you to court. That is when these disagreement starts from. And so I largely agree that indeed, I think that the High Court acted out of jurisdiction. Indeed, I have consistently, since this matter came up, opined that the court ought to have stayed and reserved the issues to the Supreme Court for determination. Because I felt, in fact, I feel that what he did does not amount to the application of the law, but rather an interpretation of it. And that should have been reserved. Now, even if there is a doubt as to whether he was indeed applying or interpreting, that should even have been the reason why he ought to have referred the issue to the Supreme Court, particularly so when there is already a pending case before the Supreme Court on substantially the same issue that he was determining. And so acting this way, for me, I mean, I think that he went beyond himself to arrogate to his office the powers he did not have, and it's needless. Particularly when you're dealing with an institution like the OSP, set up to fight corruption by all intents and purposes. This far-reaching decision completely takes away the entire essence of having the OSP. And so you ought to be careful not to make any pronouncements that would seek to defeat the essence of having that office. You know, interpretations are not, or even an application of the law, is not done to defeat the essence of the legislation that you are interpreting, if that's what you want to do. And so, but in this particular case, what he has done is to defeat and literally take away the entire essence of having that office established. Because at this point, when you say that the OSP doesn't have the prosecutorial power, then what's the use of having the OSP in the office? What was the use in Parliament going all out for all those years and what was it for? This completely makes it useless. And you can't interpret law to achieve that kind of sense. It's so absurd to interpret a law to achieve that end. You don't do that. And I mean, that's the basic principles of interpretation. Now, having said that, I think what was lost on all of us is that we forget that the OSP is a special creature. The OSP did not create itself. It did not evolve from nothing. The OSP was created by someone. Now, that someone is the person that is today in conflict with the OSP. So everything we say should be judged not from the OSP's perspective, because the OSP did not create itself. The person who created it with a law. Now, that law is in line with our legal jurisprudence. Is the second most important law. All the express words creating the OSP and giving it the authority to prosecute. The OSP still needed to go back. I don't know whether going back here means writing officially or walking into the office of the Attorney General and doing yes, master, oh please, can I have power to prosecute, or can you give me? Let's remember that when the OSP, assuming the OSP was to go for a warrant, he is not going with a letter. It's not a letter that is going to be written for it. It's still going to be a legislation. Now, that legislation is a secondary legislation. Now, you are saying that the primary legislation, i.e., the Act of Parliament, is not sufficient to grant the OSP the power to prosecute. However, because there's subsidiary legislation.
Because there's precedent, is there not? And the precedent is from the ECG, from the EOCO, that despite the existence of the primary legislation, the Act, they still had to go for a secondary one. And even the NPA, as a former CEO has just said to us here. So if that's a precedent, you deal with it.
This is where, Omar, this is where mangoes are always compared with pineapples. You see, we forget that OSP, being a special creation, right, has been touted both in fact and in the hazard, I mean, that all of us have.
Yes.
Shows that it is an independent. The whole essence of the OSP, beyond the prosecutorial power, is supposed to be independent. And so if you create it the same way you've created Yoko, you created all the other ones, all of whom ought to take some level of control from the Attorney General, all of them, take one way or the other, are subject to the control of the Attorney General. This is what we sought to insulate the OSP from. And so that is why I call it a special purpose vehicle. And so once you have termed it as independent, autonomous, giving it all these insulations from the control of the Attorney General, you can no longer still treat it.
Justice, if you can hear me, we are struggling to hear you because of network issues. Maybe you would want to explore putting off. If you could put your camera off, that would help with the internet connectivity. Can you hear me, Justice Abdullahi?
And all the other institutions granting them same time. None of it. None of No, your line was.
Yes, I'm asking if you could put off your camera, that would be helpful, because it appears there's a challenge, and then you can submit without your camera being on, and you can still land, so that I'll get reactions to your position. Can you hear me, Justice Abdullahi?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, so you may proceed. Yes.
All those other institutions, because of if they do not have the same special circumstances surrounding their creation, the same way as the OSP. And so for them,
but the IOCO was created to fight organized crime, fraud. So what would you say?
Yeah, but it's not independent.
Okay.
IOCO is not independent. There's no way in the laws of IOCO that gives it independence or autonomy to operate. There's no way in the laws of ECG, MPA, and all the other institutions created to advance the object of establishing them to be independent of any institution.
But then,
the
OSP too cannot be. Are we not pretending about the independence of the OSP when the OSP is subject to 88? How do you call an independent body?
Because the act itself says so.
And I'm saying that is that not a pretense where you know that the man is still subject to somebody 88 and you say he's independent?
What I'm saying is that
because there's a view that the only time we can have.
So the point I'm making is that
if you can hear me, there's a view that the only time you can have an independent office of special prosecutor is when you amend Article 88, and that's done through referendum. To the extent that you don't do the amendment, you can never have an independent office to prosecute anything, because the police will tell you that the docket is with the AG. They have to hear the advice of the AG. Which means very soon the OSP will start taking advice from, and I'm sure IOCO and all of those people, because of the warrant that they deal with, they are to some level subject to the direction of the AG. And that's what we are trying to say the OSP should not. But that's a pretentious thing, isn't it?
No, it is not, because just as you indicated, right? With the OSP, we seek to grant it that level of independence, even if we admit that it cannot be completely independent by virtue of Article 88. So it's a different thing when you're dealing with the OSP as against dealing with all the other institutions.
And that's what the judge said. That's what the judge said, legislative gymnastics. That's what we had to do to create some semblance of independence.
For the judge, I mean, I've already indicated my problem with the decision he delivered. And so I think it is better to avoid bringing him into this discussion, because first of all, I think that he could have done better, particularly when it comes to all these other pronouncements about making all those far-reaching decisions, pronouncements about all other prosecutions that have been done in the past and all of that being unconstitutional and for that matter, being void. I think he could have saved all of us from those extra pronouncements. And then we could have probably dealt with just this issue of jurisdictional or otherwise of his interpretation and application of the law. But he has brought us this far, and so let's deal with it as it stands, and then avoid making it personal to him. Now, having said that, Omar, my position is that until we recognize that the OSP has a special existence, and for which reason we need to respect it from that angle, I do not think that it would be appropriate and it would advance the cause of the fight against craft to pretend, as you want to use, that it is independent. It is not a pretentious independence. It is a genuine independence which is born out of the legislation and which cannot be cured necessarily by going for an ally, subsidiary legislation, to grant it what has already been granted under the main act. That will be rather a misstep to take.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let me come back in, Sudan. I'll return to you again before we finish this discussion. Let me bring you Duncan. You heard the three lawyers speak, and I think they agree generally on a lot of issues, just except for one, where the Honorable Bediako thinks that well, there was no warrant and there has to be a warrant. What's your position on?
Sanda, okay. Just like the 33 million other Ghanaians, should we be confused? Should we be worried? Should there be the issue of the law contradicting itself? Or is it that when people change, then the principles change, and that also affects the law? I do think that if there was that collaboration between the OSP and the AG, we may not even get to this point, altogether. And so what for majority of us out there, we're thinking is that there's some, level of disagreement on how things are being handled or being done, for which interpretations and, legal arguments would have to be advanced. Let's get to the genesis of this whole OSP enterprise. As a trotro driver, a layman, I sit somewhere and I'm told, okay, we're probably putting an independent prosecutor together. And so we're thinking that, okay, OSP, good idea. Would it be able to now handle things that the system has not been able to handle? There's hope from all of us. Of course, there's a goodwill equally. If you recall when this office was put together, the first occupant was one that clearly people celebrated, believing that from his previous track record, we're going to see a lot more in the fight against corruption. Sanda, if you ask me post the establishment of that office years down the line, just like every other Ghanaian out there on the street, we are speaking from the streets, basically. Has there been anything different, really, in our collective quest to fight graft? The answer will be no.
So the office has not served the purpose?
So you see, from a very goodwill standpoint, when the office came, because the thinking of 33 million Ghanaians was that, okay, what the system has not been able to achieve, like you had mentioned earlier, AGs are appointed subject to the whims of the president. And oftentimes, he who pays the piper calls the tune, right? And so you don't see how a president would allow people around his administration to be handled. Maybe we should get somebody who sits outside and can act, But I think one of the things that Parliament itself failed to do, I do think that the passing of the OSP Act either was rushed or there were things that they took their eyes off, because if there are already constitutional provisions that says that all, not some, all prosecution and prosecutorial powers shall be initiated by the Attorney General. And you are seeking to now say that somebody else is getting a part of that power. But that person will not derive that power from the Attorney General. You are simply acting unconstitutional. So I think if there is a challenge here at this point, it is really coming from Parliament not doing well enough.
So you think it's a failure of Parliament?
It's a failure of Parliament.
So the Act shouldn't have gone through at all?
You see, if you needed to go with the Act, decisively.
But at the time, though, the opposition MPs, Haruna Idrisu was minority leader then, Dominic Ayine, at the time he was not the Attorney General, they argued against the creation of the Act.
So clearly,
of the bill and the office.
So clearly, they saw something at the time. Most of us didn't see. We, on the other side, were clamoring for let there be prosecution for justice, let there be questions asked of the political class. Sanda, somebody steals a goat, appears before court. Within 1, 2, 3 hearings, 8, 10 years, slapped. You open or tune your radio in the morning, you hear of political corruption, right? and it runs into several hundreds of millions. Sanda, if you ask the younger generation, the Gen Z, do they have any hope that if a politician steals money or does anything untoward, right, any form of justice would be arrived at? The answer will be a big no. And so it looks as though there are two sets of laws. So when Ghanaians were told that we're putting together this office, the aspirations of all of us was that at least something is being done to bring some equity to the table as far as the ordinary man and the political elite or class is concerned. But Sanda, I have not seen an office lose its goodwill as fast as the OSP has. And I do think that...
Despite the huge goodwill it had when it was created.
Yes, at the outset, all of us, everybody...
was celebrating.
We're celebrating.
Finally, corrupt people will be arrested and jailed.
Exactly.
7 years on.
And it is not only the usual excuses you hear, but we're also spending the taxpayers' money hugely, you know, on an office that is not delivering the returns one would have expected.
The office, the physical office, is about 11-story building.
Sanda.
Blue and white, nice. Blue and yellow. Very beautiful building.
So
it used to belong to a certain state agency and it was taken and given to the OSP.
So you see, Sanda, we are going round in circles. And I do think that to resolve this legal question, really the act should be looked at again. I do think that at some point, Mr. President should have allowed Parliament
to scrap it,
to rectify that anomaly by scrapping it. I don't know what they saw. So
he shouldn't have told them to stop.
No, I think he should have allowed them to proceed, because at this point...
But they would be seen as an NDC government that is fighting an anti-corruption institution.
You see, Sanda, the good thing is you don't have the NDC itself having their backs against the wall at this point with the OSP. This would have been the public perception if, say, as we speak, OSP is pursuing, you know...
officers of this government.
Officers of the NDC, high and mighty here and there, and then you see the NDC push back. Then you would say that, oh, they are just running away from... That is not the case now, no. But the number of things we hear out there on the streets, right, happening with that office is discouraging.
Is it the office or the officer that you have a problem?
The officers, you know, a couple of people in there, Sanda, let me put this on record. A couple of people in there are behaving as though they are 10 gods. And
who and who?
Sanda, I'll put out the names if you push me, but you see...
I'll be happy if you mention
If you invite somebody, right?
You don't have a minute,
for investigation.
I have two lawyers there.
Yes. No, if you invite somebody to come or appear, I mean, for questioning or interrogation, and you end up insulting their dignity, insulting them in the face, stupid, go and lock the person.
You do that?
Sanda.
But that happens in the police cells. You have no complaint.
You see?
It happens everywhere.
No. You see, lawyer, if you say it happens everywhere,
doesn't justify.
You see, and you sit here and then sometimes you talk about human rights abuses. The mere fact that, Sanda, I am probably wearing a uniform and I invite you to say, oh, they said you stole a goat yesterday. Probably you didn't even know anything about it. But I sit in my establishment and call you a thief, right? Call you stupid, call you names. Then I tell my men to go and lock you up, right? And, you know, I'm exercising a certain authority, right? That clearly the law prescribes. The law says that if you have anything against the person, proceed, right? Give him a fair trial, fair hearing. Let him be entitled to a lawyer. If he's unable to defend himself and the law finds him guilty, he can take his punishment. But people are punished at the OSP sometimes.
So as a man representing the street man, the trotro driver, you think that if the Office of Special Prosecutor is scrapped today, people will go to the street and celebrate?
Sanda, it is not only the streets. In their hearts, there will be lots of joy because, look, the billions that we are pumping into that office, when you talk of job creation and the Ghanaian, the young person, getting out of school, nurses, this week, some teachers were complaining of salaries not coming. And you see the fleet of vehicles, right? a thing that clearly the AG could have done. If the AG was not sufficient, we could have resourced the IOCO office, because we've already created that, right? It looks as though we are in a hurry to just create institutions, you know, and assign money to them. Whilst the critical problems of people, water, Sanda, people have not had water running in their homes for God knows how long.
Because of corruption.
Exactly.
So let's fight corruption.
Sanda, then you come and create an anti-corruption agency. And that office is also just, guzzling public resources. You don't have anything. If I ask you today to show me 5 or 3 cases, right, that the OSP could have done to say that I've been able to recoup, monies that clearly had been stolen. I've taken all those monies. What is now pursuing is the fuel depots, right? People doing their legitimate businesses. If you have issues of them, if you have issues really of them, having, bypassed the system to cheat on taxes, the GRA exists, right? IOCO exists. You'll find the OSP zooming in there, arresting or taking people, Sandra, the things we hear.
You don't sound happy with the officers or the OSP.
A lot of them seem to be very nice people. A few bad ones in there have already given them such a bad name out there. And you wonder what exactly the extent of their mandate should be. I was thinking that OSP would be more concerned, particularly, right, with public office holders, right, and other individuals whose actions constitute grave financial drain on the public. Sanda, if you visit a petroleum, let's say, depot, right, and you say that you have heard there's a depot-to-depot transfer, look, in the petroleum industry, that in itself is not even wrong, because if I am processing something, right, and it does not meet the specification for the market, Tampuli here, my former chief executive for MP, will tell you, the law would allow you to send to probably TOR for blending or some other corrective measure before you can put on the market, right? They will zoom in there, effect arrest, frustrations.
You're not
here.
happy because they've entered your theft.
No.
Corruption is corruption.
Not that. But you see, Sanda, I have said this. If you have proper basis, right,
Proceed.
for saying that Lawyer Tampuli, right, is a bad person, he has done A, B, C, and D, you can invite him to take a statement, right, where you want to detain, take him to the court to do what the law allows.
All right.
But the gymnastics that you hear coming out from that office, it makes we, the rest of us, the trotro drivers, have no confidence at all that we've created something, markedly, significantly different, right, from the existing, systems that should have been fighting corruption.
Okay.
I think that, look, we should, cut this whole back and forth on the OSP. If Mr. President would allow, let that thing go, let the experiment go. Resource IOCO, resource police CID. I do think clearly that if you give them the CID enough, evidence or information, they can also go out there, not only to prevent crime, but also to investigate corrupt, and IOCO should be also. But Sanda, look, we are tired though. We want jobs. We are not getting the jobs. We are putting billions into OSP, and then today is a legal question. The next day they have arrested, swooped, then nothing comes out of it. We are tired.
They are the ones to bring Ken Oforiatta home for you. You wanted Ken Oforiatta to come. It's OSP that is working on that too.
Sanda, you are rubbing salt into our wounds. If Ken Oforiatta is still sitting in America, and we are here, red alert, we issue, then we take it off, blah, blah. Me, right, in my trotro, what have you said? What purpose have you served to me? The young graduate looking for a job, that you say Ken Oforiatta has stolen millions, has mismanaged, you add SML and all of that, right? We still have not been able to get the man to come and answer any questions. Then you tell me you are fighting corruption. What are you fighting?
Let me come back to the members of parliament. Now, you, and when I say you, I'm referring to the House of Parliament, created this law, and we are seeing all these issues. The judge said it was legislative gymnastics and re-engineering. When the bill was being debated, the Hansard from 2017, I'm just going to read what the current AG, who was then a member of parliament, said. He said, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to propose a further amendment because we have not indicated the mode of authorization by the Attorney General. So I wanted to propose that she is authorized by the appropriate legal instrument. Mr. Speaker, for instance, she could do so by constitutional instrument or by legislative instrument where it would spell out clearly what the jurisdiction of the Office of Special Prosecutor is. This is because what we are doing here is to say that Parliament is by statute making the Attorney General authorize the Special Prosecutor, but she is the one who is designating that authority, and there has to be a mode of delegation, Mr. Speaker. That's the point I'm making, which means that even at the time, the issue you talk about now was raised.
Yes.
And the AG's position at the time is not different from what the position is now. How can Parliament fix the problem of the OSP? Should it be scrapped by Parliament, which established it like Dankanamo is proposing, so that let the President withdraw the instruction to Ayaga and his friends, let them remove the thing because it's a bleed on our pants and we are not seeing anything, or there's a way to rectify it?
You see, Imoro, if you look back, the attempts to scrap the office didn't start now.
True.
First, it started, with the leader of government business under this regime. Leader of government business, a majority leader, and the majority chief whip. They initiated a private members' motion seeking to completely dissolve the office. Then a statement came from the Minister for Government Communications that the President has put a stop to that. So that's the legislative style attack. Then there was another one by way of petitions. A number of petitions were received for the removal
Of the SP.
of the special prosecutor. That also failed to pass the test of prima facie. So legislative one failed, executive attack failed, then the judicial onslaught came. Maybe after this one, we don't know, maybe one day physically they have to go and then close down the place. But see, the problem that we are facing is that all of us agree that the architecture that we have for fighting corruption are inadequate. Everybody agrees. Whether it's the structure or is the personalities involved, the jury is out there. But what is important is that we needed to create some kind of an agency and insulate it from the control of any other person so that the guy can flow. And to demonstrate the intention to get somebody who is independent, Martin Hamidu was put there. And there's no one in this country who remotely thinks that Martin Hamidu can be remote controlled by anybody, regardless of who you are. You understand? Then subsequently, by that same token, Kisi Ejaben was put there. You see, we can attack Kisi Ejaben, but let's not go attacking the office. The office was created for a special reason, to deal with corruption. Now, any attempt at scrapping the office would just give the game away. That somebody is not minded to fight corruption as much as they said that they're going to do.
But Duncan says the NDC doesn't have their back against the wall. So
But you see, you don't even know what the SP has against the appointees of the government.
Or when they'll come.
You don't even know. You don't even know how many petitions that he has received. Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, like many other anti-corruption agencies, is not just there to investigate and prosecute corruption. One of the objects of the office is also to prevent the commission of crimes, corruption and corruption-related cases. So if you say, for instance, the OSP has gone to a depot to inspect what's going on, especially when it comes to raid a depot, it is also in keeping with the objects of the act.
Prevention.
Maybe to prevent. And whilst I was in office, a lot of crimes were committed along that line. If we had somebody who could immediately go in and then say, look, stop, some crimes wouldn't have been committed. Look, you know how many, liters, millions of liters that was siphoned out of this country, supposedly for exports to Burkina Faso and Mali, and they ended up being poured into this country. You know it. Seaboard's industry reports over the years, even for last year, shows that over 600 million Ghana cedis
Corruption.
has been lost in the industry. Now, if we had agencies that will prevent them, the state will not be talking about losing resources. We've had billions of cedis.
But what about what's Duncan's position that resource the public of the DPP, the Department of Public Prosecution, are the AGs? Why don't you resource them to do this way? Resource the police, resource the EOCO and GRA. Why do you have to create a new office?
We see what I'm saying is that the DPP still comes under the Attorney General.
Mm-hmm.
The DPP is a wing. Director of Public Prosecution is a head of the criminal section of the Attorney General's department. Mm-hmm. Now that person is also under the direction of the Attorney General. Mm-hmm. We can decide as a country, all of us collectively, and I want to submit by way of a constitutional proposal, amendment for constitutional amendments, that the office of the Attorney General, the current tenure, the framing of Article 88(1) can be amended. 1. Instead of what it is right now, it should rather read, Attorney General shall be appointed by the President. 1. All right? Without necessarily adding that he shall be a Minister of State.
Okay. So he will not be the Minister for Justice.
He will not be the Minister for Justice. 2. The Attorney General's terms and conditions shall be coterminous with that of a Minister of State. Mm-hmm. And then you can come and talk about being the sole prisoner for prosecution. Mm-hmm. The procedure for the removal of the Attorney General should be the same as the procedure for removal of OSP. Mm-hmm. So all the powers that the OSP currently enjoys, all right, all the condition of service and everything should come straight. So you now remove, instead of having Office of the Special Prosecutor, Office of the Attorney General Act.
So then the office becomes independent.
Independent.
But appointed by the President.
Yes. The Chief Justice is appointed by the President.
Exactly where the problem
sits. The Supreme Court judges are appointed. Somebody has to appoint somebody.
So you should go through.
So how
about election?
No, you have to go and see a juju person.
You should get a judicial council probably to select.
In some states.
No, but the judicial council will do the nomination of judges and send the names to the President to appoint.
They should be able to appoint an Attorney General.
I was in the
create the structure that doesn't go through the President.
You voted the President to lead us as a nation. And we voted him knowing that the person means well for us.
So we should trust him.
So we should trust the person to do what is right for us.
And
you have the Attorney General to be in office for the same tenure as the Special Prosecutor. Cannot be removed except under Article 146 provisions. You understand?
I was in the state of Kentucky in the US, and over there they elect the Attorney General, and several other Commonwealth countries they elect the Attorney General. So should we rather elect Attorney General?
Well, that can also be a proposal.
So during our general election, we vote for Attorney General.
That can also be a proposal that we want to consider, but I want to submit very respectfully that one of the things that we can do is to insulate and decouple the office from the Minister of State. Then the President can decide that, look, I want to appoint the Minister for Justice, who will be my principal legal advisor. But the Attorney General should do what Attorney Generals do in similar jurisdictions.
Prosecute.
All right? Stay out of the executive. You cannot come under Article 58(3), for instance, which says that the President is vested with authority, executive powers. He can either do it directly or indirectly through subordinates. The President cannot direct you.
So it becomes like the EC chair.
You are insulated completely, exactly. We can do something like that, but in the absence of that one. And why are we having all this conversation? When the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General, in this instance, my very good friend and then mates, who were mates at the law school, Dr. Shremsai, he says that we are ready to give the authorization, assuming without admitting that the airline is not enough to confer the authorization. What stops them from just writing to the Special Prosecutor?
But has he requested?
Does he have to request?
He has to request.
Does he have to request?
You requested.
Yes.
To
At the
demonstrate.
NPA,
You see,
in your instance, you requested.
His business is to prosecute. I didn't write to the special prosecutor or the attorney general to regulate the
You
downstream
are saying
industry.
that Attorney General should write to the OSP.
I didn't write to
So you are
regulate the
saying that
downstream
if
industry.
they say they are ready to do, then they should do already.
Then they should write. Without any trigger.
But there are two things though.
To demonstrate that they are ready to fight corruption.
But there are two
You
things
understand?
Sremsa
To
has said.
demonstrate, for instance, yes.
There are two things. He said one, they are ready to take over the cases as directed by the judge because.
Have they been able to
and
deal
then-
with the cases that
and then they are also willing to give the
They're
warrant.
talking about the fact that they are understaffed.
They are doing
and the
both.
General Department. See,
He said they are willing to
anytime that
take
they
over
appear
and they are
before
willing
the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, they keep on talking about their being understaffed.
Okay.
They don't have lawyers in the regions, and they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have logistics, and so on and so forth. Even the Attorney General himself, at some point, said that he used his personal money. Remember, he used his personal money to buy printers and then laptops or whatever. I stand corrected, but he had bought some of these things. So please, let's see.
Allow someone to help you.
If you want us to believe that the government is desirous and committed to the fight against corruption, by Monday or even today,
Right.
they should just write to the man, because
How?
the law says that you don't need him to write.
Yeah,
You
but
don't need to-
I don't agree with this one.
I was drawing your attention to something that there
You
are
understand?
two things Dr. Sremsa has said. One,
Yes.
they are ready to take over their cases.
Yes.
Two, they are willing to give the warrant. So I don't know which one they are going to do first.
But you see,
Because he said they are taking steps to take.
Like I said, the matter is already within the remit of the Supreme Court and so on and so forth. The Supreme Court will proceed ultimately to draw the contours of the application of Article 88(4) vis-a-vis the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act generally. Yes, I agree. But you see, all this conversation is needless. If the Attorney General's office says that, oh yes, we think that you have to get authorization from us, you should write.
Okay.
Assuming you even think that, okay, this is the case, we want to show you where power lies. Please go ahead. And all these discussions will end.
Okay.
All these discussions will end.
How-
And I just want to make a quick point about the exercise of jurisdiction by the High Courts. The High Court jurisdiction was not the human rights jurisdiction that was triggered. It was the supervisory
Yes.
jurisdiction of the High Court against
Yes.
lower, bodies.
Adjudication bodies and administrative bodies.
So administrative bodies. So
Yes.
it was that was a trigger,
Yeah.
and that is what would give rise to the likes of Shotorarai, prohibition, mandamus, and co-warranto and all of that. So
Okay.
it's a supervisory
Very well.
jurisdiction.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
but the supervisory over which court?
Supervisory
Which
jurisdiction over
court?
OSP. Supervisory jurisdiction over OSP, not the court.
So what
Not
they
the-
filed, the mandamus application, you
Yes.
said it's not under Article 33?
No, it's
Check Article 33.
no, it is Article 33,
Yeah.
all right, but Article 33 is not
And what
just a
has
human
Article-
rights.
You read Article
No,
33.
please check the.
I'll get to-
check
I'll get to the
condition.
ju- I'll get to the
High Court,
judgment.
the High Court jurisdiction, not necessarily under Article 33, but under the
No,
court.
but this was filed
Let
under
me-
Article 33.
Let me get the.
You get
please
Article
check,
33.
check.
Yes, we can
Yeah.
do we can
You
do that.
can
What
do
we do
that.
that, you can make your
You see-
submission on how you think Parliament
You
can
see,
can fix
let
this.
me say this. This whole discussion is we are missing the context, and I'm surprised that my senior keeps bringing in as though somebody deliberately or somebody has a deliberate ploy, bringing in the Attorney General and all that. This is a private matter. Private lawyers like you and myself explored, and it can happen any day. Nobody can stop any private lawyer from doing so.
Attorney General is in the Supreme Court. though.
No,
Or this
that's
is
a different matter.
But
We are
it's the
discussing.
same-
No. Even with the Attorney General in the Supreme Court, it is not the Attorney General that went to the Supreme Court. The Attorney General is a respondent in that case. But what we are discussing now, it's a private matter, a private lawyer that sought to explore the law. That according to my understanding of Section 4 of your own act, you need an authorization from the Attorney General.
Okay, so I've got the applicant went under Article 141,
141, yes,
of the
supervisory
1992
jurisdiction.
Constitution.
Supervisory
And
jurisdiction.
Article 141 says the High Court shall have supervisory jurisdiction over all lower courts and any lower adjudicating authority, and may, in the exercise of that jurisdiction, issue orders and directions for the purpose of enforcing or securing the enforcement of its supervisory powers. So that's what he went under. And the judge, in making the determination, said that the High Court, in the exercise of its supervisory jurisdiction, may issue orders and all of that. He says, quo warranto simply means by what authority are you performing a public function or discharging a public duty.
Yes.
And it goes ahead to state the case of Chairman Kumasi City, Executive Chairman Kumasi City Council, all of that, ex-party Jima, and says if someone has already been given that power and that person exercising that power, and you are seen to be exercising the same power without authority, then he'll question you. And when you question them, they didn't have the warrant in the court.
We need not drag this. This is not a human rights matter. This is clearly supervisory jurisdiction.
That's okay. So what I'm saying is that if you bring in the Attorney General, this is a private lawyer that sought to explore the law, and he got the ruling in his favor. And the Attorney General has been giving some directives.
And he's complying.
So
it's not an NDC thing.
How is he an NDC thing? How is he an NDC thing? This has nothing to do with the Attorney General.
You didn't cook it behind the
So if
scenes.
we are analyzing it, we should analyze what the judge, who is not a party to it, who is not political, has done. And the law allows us to critique if we need to do so. So that's what we are doing. Let's leave it at that. Haven't I said here that I disagree with some aspects of his ruling? For me, there is nothing wrong with, and I do not think, I still submit humbly, that he wasn't supposed to engage in interpreting Article 88, not necessarily. This was a matter that found its roots in the specific act of OSP, that you are supposed to, that's section 4, you shall be given or you shall take that authorization from the Attorney General. Did you or you did not? It's a simple question.
They did not. They could not produce it in
That
court.
is the point. And that is what I thought that the judge should have limited himself with, rather than go out there and talk about Article 8, when especially you knew that matter is in the Supreme Court. For me, and I have stated here, that I do not see anything wrong with the law that was passed by Parliament. They did the right thing, and that is why I say that the OSP should have gone for because it's clear that LI that has been read to us has nothing to do with the operationalization of the prosecution. When you decide, he said they have the sole mandate to decide whether to prosecute or not. OSP. Their own cases. So it ends there that if they take a decision that they will prosecute, nobody should stop them. But in operationalizing the prosecution, you need an authorization from the AG, which is what the law, your own section 4 says.
And you shouldn't get it.
And that is consistent with Article 88.
So Tampoli holds the view that the solution is let the AG grant this thing, whether or not the people apply for it.
And that is why I even have a problem.
And I'm asking you a question. What's your position? How do we, moving forward, should there be an appeal of the decision of the High Court? Should it be disregarded? Should Parliament scrap it like Duncan is proposing? Or should there be a warrant issued for the office? How do we, and what should Parliament do moving forward in dealing with the law?
First and foremost, currently, the OSP is saying we don't need to come to you for that. This is their point. So how can the AG say I've given you? The person is saying I don't need what you want to give to me. Is that not what it is now?
No. So he's saying that you have given it to me already.
No. He said it doesn't have to come for the authorization. Please, in the form the AG is saying, you are saying now that they should give it to them. You are not saying it is in it.
Currently, but I argued first.
You've done that.
They're saying that's already here, but if you don't believe it is,
so the point we are discussing currently is the other leg, which you brought in. That if you are saying that you need to give, and the person who is supposed to receive is saying that I don't need it because I already have it in there. So how can the AG give? So that stalemate is there. Beyond that, this is my point. For me, it's clear, it's unambiguous that they need it. It is because the person occupying the seat is saying he doesn't need it. That is what has brought about. You don't, why? Just go for it. The AG cannot say he won't give you. If the AG tries that, then we can come under this whole discussion about not really willing to fight corruption and all that. Just go for it. And when you go for it, per the section 4.1 is saying that when you proceed, you are not under the authority of anybody. The AG cannot come and say, no, don't take 3 witnesses there, take 2, and then nobody can do that. Just go for the authorization and proceed. That is in the meantime. But you see, for me, I agree with what my senior said. In the medium term, I think that we don't need this. We don't need the OSP.
Thank you.
Why don't we just decouple the office of the Attorney General from the Justice Ministry, if we even need a Justice Ministry? It's just like having a Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. If we even need it, I think we don't even need it. The Chief Justice, the administrative head, get your Attorney General, because that one, the office is already there. The law has given other institutions that mandate to investigate for them, like Yoko and other organizations. It is already there. It is just the will. It is just the resources. It is, if you are concerned about he sitting in cabinet, that's why you need to take away the ministerial aspect from it. If you are concerned about the, because of course the president can fire the Attorney General at any time. If you are concerned about that, you appoint him by whatever agreed mode and give him security of tenure and let him
appear
work
before Parliament.
Absolutely, I'm saying yes, we can always agree on the mode so that he goes through that, and then we have him as the Attorney General. Because you see, look at the number of lawyers under that institution, even at the regions and all that. It's already established, it's there already. Why do we need to bring an office, we keep one person as if we can? Look, in the law school, my senior is here, we were not taught how to investigate. We are taught to interpret the law and put law. That is why we have people who does the investigations. When they are done, they bring the docket for you to apply the law to it based on what is before you. That's what we are taught. But we bring somebody under the pretext that the person can investigate, even when you have senior investigators, even in Yoko, who are suffering.
But OSP actually takes a lot of its investigators from the police.
I know,
and
but so then what are we doing?
So
what are we doing? The very people, the very same place, you see, that is even the problem. The very same place we have problems with. You go there and then you bring them there.
In fact, at a point, over 90% of the officers at the Office of Special Prosecutor were on secondment from the police, from the GRA, and there was even an issue between the OSP and the GRA where someone was supposed to be released and he was not being released and all of that. So you're saying that it's a duplication of effort.
And you see,
so strengthen the existing ones.
Absolutely. And then
and scrap the OSP.
If our concern really is with the independence, and I think that is what we need, then we know what to do. But insofar as we have Article 88, we are only pretending.
So should we go and amend?
No,
through a referendum?
Course. Why not? Because it appears Ghanaians are for it. All this while this discussion, the reason we had this is all because people think that the AG should be independent. And we don't have it because of the injunction in Article 88. So if we are deliberate about it, what do?
What steps can Parliament take now to deal with this matter? Or you have done your work?
Parliament has done its work. I'm saying currently, the law we have, there is no conflict. I'm surprised, even with the matter in the Supreme Court, I have my own views about it. Because I don't see any conflict here.
This law says that I am subject to the Constitution.
I don't see any conflict in this law that the Supreme Court needs to investigate.
Exactly. There's nothing
or interpret.
Because where you don't see any conflict is to the extent that the OSP shall
absolutely go to the AG. That is my position. So that is what I think the law says. And so the Supreme Court has nothing to declare null and void. Okay. Because it's still saying that they are subservient to the Constitution, which is Article 88. So what is there to interpret the So there is no problem. And that is why I agree with the judge when he says that you need it, go for it. But when the judge proceeded beyond that to say other ones, those ones I don't agree with the judge.
Sanda, finally,
yes,
let that OSP office go. There is a drain on our resources. We don't have. Clearly, we're duplicating a lot of the efforts that the other institutions originally are mandated to. We were thinking that independence would mean it will cut both ends. We've not seen that. I don't see that happening. Insofar as you will continue to wait on a government or a president to appoint the same OSP, that talk of independence is a charade. And I would conclude again by saying this, Sanda. What the normal day Ghanaian is requesting, of public office holders and the political elite, is things like jobs, potable water. If it is almost always going to be questions of constitutionality, legality, and blah, blah, it doesn't get felt by the poor person who goes to steal a goat or chicken and gets 10 years in jail. Yet when it gets to the part of the political elite, the conversation is, elevated to the issues of legal gymnastics, whatever that is. I don't think that the OSP is here to serve Ghanaians any proper purpose that the AG's office could not, serve. I don't think that the OSP's office would have done any better job than IOCO or the police CID would have done. And so if we would need to strengthen institutions, let's go back to the drawing board, back to the basics, ask questions of why the institutions that were set up way before the OSP came have not been able to live up to their billing. If we are able to get the answers, Sanda, you would realize that every other thing we were building upon this whole OSP Act, right? It should go ahead and investigate and blah, blah. There's a CID, there's a BNI that is charged with, national investigations. You even have national security. And what I found befuddling with this thing, a situation where now OSP is also seen to be fighting sometimes GNRA. You have institutional conflict here and there. Look, the law is clear. When it comes to revenues, right, of state, the GNRA takes preeminence over everybody else. If I have an issue of an institution not having paid taxes, I do not report to the OSP. I go to GNRA. And if GNRA does their task or risk assessment and realize there's a shortfall in what I paid versus what I should have paid, they raise the tax assessment and say that you need to pay this difference, right? It's already been done. Yet, we are in a hurry, frenzy, to want to duplicate everything and say that, look, if we put a special person, like we started with Martin Amidu, right? The thinking was that, wow, yeah, he talks about corruption and all of that. So if we put him there, the fight will be won. The evidence 7 years after has demonstrated that nothing has been won. Nothing probably will be won. It will just be a matter of, I have the power to do this. We are all looking for power. Power is vested in one person, the president. Every other institution that has a mandate, if you can go according to that mandate, you may not need OSP at the end of the day. So let's find a way, scrap it, get done with that office. I'm not interested in the people occupying the office per se, but Sanda, really, the mandate of that office, you will find lots of that in already established.
So let those ones do their work.
Let those ones do their work.
Before we finish the discussion on legal matters and go to energy, there's something again that happened this week also in the courts where the minority leader, Afenyo Makin, went to town. In fact, he spoke to me on Eyewitness News, and some of the words he used against the judge, the circuit court judge, not very palatable for the ears. And I even said to him that he may go in for contempt, and he said he was willing. The story summarized on our website, citynewsroom.com, says Afenyo Makin slams circuit court judge over remand of MPP's Baba Amando. It says Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo Makin has strongly criticized the handling of proceedings involving Sunyani East Communications Officer of the New Patriotic Party, Abubakar Yakubu, popularly known as Baba Amando, following his 2-week remand by an Accra Circuit Court. Speaking on Eyewitness News, he questioned the conduct of the presiding judge, describing the decision as improper and raising concerns about judicial fairness in the matter. He commended the Ghana Police Service for what he described as professional handling. Then he proceeded to say, but the judge, this is a quote, the circuit court judge, shame on him. He has brought a big shame onto himself and the judiciary. Now, these are very harsh words, Honorable Tampolida, your leader has used against a judge simply because his prayer to have bail for his client was not granted. Do you have to attack the judge in doing so? He appears to say that, and he even went to town to say that 2028 is almost here, there will be change of government, the judges should watch their back and all of that.
We have said here that there is absolutely nothing wrong with criticizing a judge. So you can look at it from the point of criticisms of the conduct of the judge, and then the way and manner that the judge himself acted in court. Now, the report, I wasn't in court, but the report that I picked up from my colleagues who were in court, and I have no reason to doubt the accuracy of the report, was that after the case, was called, and the charges were read out and so on and so forth, the judge was insisting from the prosecution, are you not going to ask for remand? I mean, the judge immediately has become part of the case. He has become even more prosecutor than the prosecutor himself.
Because the judge understands the law. And
No,
based
but
on
you
what
see,
he's saying,
you
ask
ask the guy and he says he leaves it in the bosom of the judge. And you keep asking, are you not going to ask for remand? Like 4 times. What is the need for remand? Why are you going to remand the person? What is the offense that has been committed? Now, if you go to section 96 of the Courts Acts regarding
of Act 30 Criminal
Procedure Code, Act 30, there is a procedure or what to consider before granting, bail.
And one of them is that if you interfere with the investigation, the judge says he will interfere.
So how is he going to interfere with the investigation? Does the gentleman have the capacity to interfere with the investigation? What was the charge? It's not something that he was said to have done and said
verbal
regarding, yes. So how is he going to interfere with the investigation? The words have been spoken. The words have been captured by somebody. Yes, we've heard, we saw it on social media. So where is the interruption again? What exactly is the Baba Armando going to do that will interfere with the investigation? Now, the person who is investigating hasn't said that he will interfere with the investigation, but the judge is insisting.
But the judge has discretion.
He has discretion, but he must exercise the discretion in a manner that would accord with Article 296.
And based on his understanding of the situation in the courtroom, reading perhaps the non-verbal cues of the accused,
that was a capricious
he thinks that the accused would go and interfere.
That was capricious, whimsical, and vexatious exercise of discretionary powers. I mean, this is clearly wrong on all fronts. This is not political, all right? It can happen to anybody if our judges behave like this. Look, we have a whole lot of people, innocent people, sometimes are taken to courts. And on the basis of the facts that have been put before you, you look at the person, you look at the crime that he supposedly has committed, and you also consider some other options. Is he going to flee? Is he a first-time offender? I mean, so you look at all of these considerations and then you decide. But the judge was in a hurry to put the person in remand. What do you benefit from that? It has been happening. It happened to Poliando. It happened to a whole lot of people.
So you think
you understand? Look,
you think your people
we seem to be criminalizing speech now. Look, Umaru and my colleagues here in the studio, before God and man, can you compare the criticisms that have been done now in this regime to what was done during Akufo-Addo? Can you compare even a quarter of what is being said about this government now to what was said during Akufo-Addo's time?
Akufo-Addo's time was 8 years. This is just 2 years. So you can't compare.
I'm saying that no, it is
maybe
not.
You should compare Mahama 1.
It is not about the number of criticisms, but the words.
Incompetent
You
Mahama.
understand?
Maybe you should compare that one.
I'm talking about the kind of things that were said about the person of the president, government appointees on a regular basis. And on one occasion,
and I'm saying that
Akufo-Addo was asked by a little kid at one of these public forums. I think they visited him at the Jubilee House, and they asked him, Mr. President, how do you feel when you hear people criticizing you every day? And his words were very, very poignant. He said that, look, we have given to ourselves democracy, and everybody has a right to criticize. And sometimes it's through the criticisms that we as leaders will learn something, because you probably wouldn't have heard it if the person had criticized you. And we have given to ourselves democracy, and democracy is supposed to be include robust debates and criticisms. And that if you want to be somebody who shouldn't be criticized, then you shouldn't be in political office. So as me, as I am, I don't remember ever even writing to anybody who criticized me when I was at NPA. Duncan Hamwa is here.
Was fighting you.
They fought me. And it is their right to fight me. You understand? They fought me, and I was minded to do right. Sometimes you know that, look, if I take a decision, Duncan Hamwa and Kopek and Co, they will come after me. So let me take the right decision. So really and truly, what is all this fuss about, government is untouchable? You can't say anything about president anymore. You can see, look, they have people on social media who are going around and checking who is insulting the IGP today, who is insulting the minister today. This is wrong. It is very, very wrong.
Okay.
It runs contrary to our democracy.
But should the insults be encouraged by
No,
your
you see, no matter how vitriolic, you have a right to a rejoinder. The Constitution gives us a right to rejoin. You said A, B, C, D, Z about me. Let me set the record straight.
So go the civil route.
Especially public officers. You should know that this office is not for you. It is the people's office, and they will criticize you.
Okay.
Even if they insult you, you have a right to write a rejoinder.
Okay.
Sometimes you write to them and request them to retract and apologize and so on and so forth. But what we see these days is that immediately they just get police to go and pick you up. Can't the Sunyani police investigate this matter?
They can, but
If you have to carry him all the way from Sunyani, then you are saying that the Sunyani police office is completely useless.
No,
they can't even investigate a small matter
no,
like
that
this.
cannot be accurate.
So you have to carry him all the way. You're talking about public resources.
But this will not be the first
waste
time.
public resources.
But this will not be the first time a case is being transferred.
So if it is wrong, it should continue.
No, I'm just saying that there are bases for which these things are done. So.
What kind of crime is it that Sunyani police cannot handle?
Okay.
All these police people in Sunyani, they can't handle this matter. They have to be brought down to Accra.
Okay, for the circuit court judge in Accra.
I mean, really.
It should happen.
Really.
Don't
we have high courts in Sunyani?
Okay.
You see, so it's my turn. This matter, the Honorable initially gave a caveat that this is not political. Unfortunately, he ended up doing politics with this matter. Unfortunately.
It's an unseen hand, he says.
No. I mean, you asked the question. And I wouldn't have gone there if he didn't end that way. Is it the first time? What did Apia Stadium do? Why was he carried from Kumasi to Accra? You sit here, you know these things. What did Apia Stadium do? What did Bubi Ansah do?
So it's payback time.
No, you see, this is the problem. If you had not ended on that note, you said what? President Kufuor saint. Jesus, in this country.
He was
Look, students said unpalatable. I will not defend it. What happened to the students? They got fired. They dismissed them in this country. What are we saying? Yes, if you don't remember.
Yes, but they said that
no, you see,
was wrong.
I don't have a problem, but you see, you painted a certain picture.
That it was wrong. Immediately they were restored. Immediately they were brought back.
Has somebody been there? You see, sometimes you do this and then you, please allow me. You do this, Umaru.
But
you see, I've kept quiet. You said a
straight.
lot of things. What is the record? Has anybody been convicted? But you see, as for arrest, it happened under your tenure for the same speech you are condemning now. But you see, fast forward. It is a shame. With the greatest respect, I have so much respect and regard for the minority leader and then Honorable Bewu. But the way they went about this matter, it's very shameful. The kind of comments that were made in this case. Some even went, Honorable Bewu, I heard him say that the judge is NDC. He is just left with him, decorating his body with NDC colors and all. Can you imagine? What did the judge do? And who is saying, what rule did the judge infringe? If we have a problem with the discretion we've given to judges in matters like this, we can speak, and we are lawyers and lawmakers. We can find a way around it. Because there is absolutely nothing wrong legally with what the judge did.
But he said that the judge was begging the prosecution to ask
I'm saying that, you see, that report is from them. With the without sounding whatever, I'm not in a position
and that
to
the guy
confirm
doesn't have the capacity to interfere with.
No, I'll come to it. That's not the only condition.
No, 96 spelled out a number of them.
Yes.
But in the instant case, the judge...
Have you read
yes,
is there a ruling you've read?
I haven't read the ruling,
what did you
but
read?
the account of
who?
Afenyomaki,
So
who was
please,
in
let
court.
me proceed. That's his
He
account.
said that was
and
the
for
only
the way
thing.
he spoke, with the greatest respect to him, he knows I respect him so much, but I'm not likely to go with his account. Because, you see, it is all about the fact that the gentleman was remanded. If you go to court, I have suffered it a few times. The onus is on you to convince the judge, as a lawyer, that your client would appear to stand trial anytime he's called. That is the requirement of Section 96 of Act 30. The requirement is not on the other side whether opposing or not. In any case, there are a lot of occasions where the other side says, I oppose the bill, that we need a client, but the judge gives the bill. What does it tell you? It tells you that the judge has that authority. Immediately you are brought before a court, the judge assumes that authority to decide what happens to you. If we think that there's too much discretion, we can have that discussion. But that is what happens. Look, I've been to court where I've sought bail, argued. The judge wrote.
Very confident.
I'm telling you, the judge wrote, and then when he was done, he told me that he said they have permanent place of abode. You didn't mention the house number. So I refused the bill. What will you do? When the opposing side, in fact, in this case, it was the Attorney General. They said they were not opposed to the bill. Judges are not obliged. There is no law that says that the judge should oblige to the other side saying he's not opposed. That's why I cited an example that even where they oppose, sometimes the judges rule
yes,
contrary.
But I see the point is being made that discretion that the judge can exercise should not be capricious and whimsical, and that in this case they believe that it was capricious, and even the Constitution says in exercising the discretion, you don't exercise discretion in a manner that is arbitrary.
I'm telling you that when you look at Section 96, and it is only for that person seated in that seat to decide on that day, not even the Chief Justice. He would have to decide. One of the requirements or the condition he needs to consider is whether the accused persons, I'm just bringing this up. I'm not saying that is what it is, but just take this. Look, whether the accused person, when granted bail, is likely to commit the same offense that he is alleged to have committed. In that case, if the judge is convinced that that can happen, the judge is likely to say, get in. And the law allows him. Is that not so? Look at the I'm just saying this. Look at the when the gentleman was eventually asked to get in, remanded into custody, when he was leaving, you heard the utterances.
He spoke against Muhammad.
Do you get the point I'm making? So I'm not saying that's what happened, but the requirement or the condition is not
so
only.
There's a vindication of the judge's
I
position.
am saying that I don't know what went into the judge's mind, but I'm giving you an indication that look at his conduct after he was even asked to get in.
He has proved.
So if you look at Section 96, it falls in there that if the judge is convinced that your actions, you are likely to commit the same offense allegedly committed, he may ask you in. So what did the judge do wrong? Is that not the law?
Okay.
So why would you say unprintable? Unfortunately, judges cannot come and tell us the consideration, what went into the consideration. So as lawyers, we should be very careful. And these are senior lawyers. This is the only country we have. The last thing we should ever do is to do what we did to the judge.
But can you not comment on a decision of a judge like
You
Afeni
can.
Makin has done?
You can, but I don't call him names. Attribute politics. Because, in fact, even legally, it's not wrong. What he did is not wrong. So why would you accuse him, say all kinds of unprintable? You know what was said. You can critique it. Are we not critiquing a high court ruling here? Has anybody gone haywire with words and, tainted the judge with all kinds of things? We've not done that. Okay. You can always critique a judge. Look, there are times when you look at the procedure, the judge is not even mandated to hear you. When the charge sheet is brought, is read to you, if on that day they intend taking your plea is taken, the judge will not call on you, the counsel for the accused, to say anything. It is for you to get up and then tell the judge that you pray that he be granted bail. You say all kinds of things. You see, sometimes the judges are so smart that, I'm not saying this is what happens. They know that there can be some negotiation between you and then the prosecutor. And so the judge is not mandated to take what the prosecutor said. In fact, that is all they are saying. That the fact that the prosecutor said he's not opposed to the bill, the judge should have granted the bill. It doesn't happen anyway.
Very well. Thank you. Duncan Amo, the Tampoli thinks that there's a criminalization of free speech. You are a very active person on social media. They say you should watch what you write. That's what the Honorable Tampoli is saying.
Sanda, I am all in for responsibility. I do not think that I disagree with you or Tampoli or my brother Bidiako should mean that I should go insulting them and calling them all kinds of unprintable. That is not right. But I can tell you in the strongest possible language possible that what you're doing is reckless, is irresponsible, it is not right, right? I can register my protest vehemently. In fact, for me personally, in 2017, when we organized protesters or demonstrators against government, some of the placards were very strong words, you know. This is not what you promised. We were very strong in our language, but not insulting. And so I think that the younger ones should take a cue. You can register your protest. Personally, I do not agree that judges should be insulted. But in saying so, judges should also feel the pain of the people against whom they preside. You know, post Martin Pebu versus the Supreme Court ruling that said that bail should not be weaponized. You should not use bail as even a punishment tool, right? It's becoming still rampant in our court system, right? At this point, Martin Pebu versus the Supreme Court, the Attorney General, there was clear instances where now the Supreme Court says that all manner of offenses are available except maybe 1 or 2, 3.
There's no
exception. So
the Supreme Court actually repealed the 7.
Section 96(7) has been. When I talk about treason, sedition, murder.
So everything is bailable now. Every offense is bailable now.
Sandra, just imagine.
But the judge has to decide.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And so where now you don't even see that the judge says, oh, let me remand you for 3 days or 4 days and let's reconvene. They do that for 2. It's becoming like a punishment. In the minds of the public, this is a very bad signal you're sending to us. That when the politician appears before you, right, 100 billion, 1,000 million, all the monies you can mention, Sandra, they are likely to go home. When I, the common man, very poor as I be, I come, I get a remand for 2 weeks. Sandra, I think that even community services, right, or you should find another way of saying, look, probably I restrict you from social media for the next 2 weeks, subject to something. But go on remand. I do think that is heavy, it's too heavy, it's excessive, and I think that the judicial system should take note of some of these things. The person may have overstepped their bounds, but in seeking to correct their action, if you end up throwing him into a cell, right, then unfortunately he dies in the cell. Right? Sandra, did you reform the person? Did you get the kind of restitution that you would have needed for the public to believe that, you know, the justice system is not always punitive, but is also corrective? We are not too sure that we will support some of these high-handedness or heavy-handedness. If the person has appeared before you, the prosecutor says they don't have any reason to want to hold the individual, and you still go ahead to remand the person. I think that for me, right, as a tomato seller, as a yam seller, as a taxi driver, it's good that you sometimes involve us in these legal discourses, because if you leave the lawyers, they are talking law. Look, the guy being remanded, going in there for 2 weeks, Sandra, it's not about law. His freedom is curtailed. Probably he's not even used to an environment of mosquitoes. Suddenly you are thrown out there, and you ask, what exactly did the person do? Oh, he made a post on social media. And for which reason he is now left in the company of thugs, armed rob, everything.
The post of what?
No, you see, the post of everything. Let me be frank with you. I follow the United States politics a lot, Sandra. Look, there's a comedian called Trevor Noah. He does not stop at the least opportunity to go after Trump. He will not stop. Then there's another person on daily something. Look, they would make mockery of their president anytime they get the opportunity. Not because probably they don't like Trump, but they don't agree with some of the things that they think, you know, Mr. President does.
To help society. But they may not have, you see, this is the point, they may not have Section 208 of Act 29 in their books. So if the problem is the section, we have MPs.
Amend it.
Amend it. But if it is used against somebody, why come
complain.
here and then complain?
Okay.
They may not have Section 208.
You see,
So you're saying that the law should not be made to sleep.
look,
The law
Sandra,
should be
let me help my brother again.
I want you to
US
conclude.
When it happens between MPP and NDC, they will remind themselves, oh, you did that. And so why are you complaining when we are... So it's good you asked him, is it payback or something?
He
you know,
did.
He
Because
did.
he did
Exactly.
politics.
So if we leave the two of you, you will continue to pay yourselves. And you are not paying yourselves with your children or your family. The poor political party supporter, right? I don't know. Afenyo spoke on your... I listened to that interview. Most people would have said, oh, if it was Kwamena from Winneba who made those comments, I'm sure by Monday they will be citing you for contempt. So there's a certain, protection for the high and mighty. And with the trotro drivers, if you go against the law, I mean, you are thrown in. And I think that bail conditions, right, like the Supreme Court has said, should not become weaponized. And I do not subscribe to this at all. If the person has done wrong and you found him guilty of whatever, go through the trial. If there's a need to punish the person and let the law set that precedence. But to say that just go in, anytime you go in there, it's like the judge has a discretion to remand you. I think that maybe somebody should try the law again and see whether the judge so moto, as your legal terms would say, should be able to sit, and even when the prosecution has not suggested that we will need to keep the person maybe for 3 or 4 or 5 days to be able to, further interrogate. Then the judge can sit in his own court and say, I'm remanding you because you can commit.
The judge can do that.
Sandra, you see, you can.
Yeah.
So I'm
but
reading.
The propriety can be tested.
Yes, that you can.
But you can
And
always
they have,
appeal.
and they actually have in this case, and the man has been granted bail now to the tune of 30,000
And
cedis.
you can also
Okay.
apply, petition the Chief Justice
Okay.
for the judge to be disciplined.
Very well. Let me read the messages from our viewers. Let me read this message.
On the grounds of incompetence.
Let me
You can come at the person.
Let me read the
How to
messages.
prove that
Let me read the
was-
messages from our viewers. Danlate says, "Why didn't the OSP prove to the High Court that they already had the authorization per their creation to convince the judge?" And that's a question of how the prosecutors performed. Lawyer Chris Akume says, "Listen to the OSP, Lawyer Kisi Jabin, at his vetting on his views about Article 88 in relation to the prosecutorial powers of the Office of Under Act 959. You don't need to argue about everything. A man's own words shall be used against him in judgment. Just a diligent lawyer is fine." So that is Chris Akume sending that message. He's a lawyer. Other messages, the weakening of the OSP is at our own peril. We should rather fine-tune whichever act created the office and strengthen his independence. The AG is creature of government. Its independence sometimes is characterized with doubt. That's Jones Adoboy in La. Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana does not explicitly make the Attorney General the only body that can prosecute, and under a purposive interpretation, Parliament was within its rights to establish the Office of Special Prosecutors Act. That's Michael Anankwa from Adenta. Papa Bisu in Spintex says, "In the first place, the formation of the Office of Special Prosecutor was in a rush because they didn't take Article 88 serious." That's listening to lawyer Ayikwe Otu, former Attorney General and a member of the NPP. Hence, that office was naturally bound to face problems in the future relative to some of their functions. In fact, on that matter, the former Deputy AG, Joseph Kwenka, he was in your government. He said he agrees with the judge. He said that he agrees with the judge. So
you have to also recognize that Kwenka is also counsel in some matters before against the OSP.
But he was Deputy AG. And he was in Parliament. So anyway, let me bring a few more
and
messages.
you can always take a different position from what position you had in government.
Let me take a few more messages. Saeed in Akramangan West says, "This brings to mind where the MPP MPs were against their own president for Oforiatta to be removed, but the president remained adamant. What is the outcome now? Why are we insisting the OSP must be scrapped or weakened?" This one says, "MPP should stop making nuisance of themselves since we saw worse atrocities under Akufo-Addo. We recall how they grabbed Reverend Osu Bampa, Chachuchi Kata, Ofosu Ampofo, etc. in church in Rambo style. They should stop crying wolf since they are not above the laws of Ghana. Will Mr. Tampoli allow anyone defame him or brand him as a homosexual, as done by the NPP man on social media under the guise of free speech. 0549 986 996. When we come back,
welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you.
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis, it's the hard-hitting conversations and the probing questions of The Point of View.
So what is the Public Account Committee's job?
So what we do is to scrutinize, clarify, and find out why certain infractions have been made.
What do these IMF programs try to do?
The current program is for budget support.
Okay.
There are no projects attached.
That teases apart the twisted entanglements of politics and governance, as well as religious and social discourse. The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issue.
What authority do you have?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV. Heartbreak hurts, but how do you move on without becoming bitter? This week on Lifeline, join Bishop Fred Kranchi-Mensah and his guest, Professor Osafo-Edu, as we begin the conversation on healing after heartbreak, moving on without bitterness. How do you let go of the pain without losing yourself in the process?
Welcome to Lifeline. This is where psychology meets with theology to try to offer explanations to life and to help you to rise above the challenges of sin.
Right.
And how to move on from that experience.
Okay.
We want to see, Prof, let's begin by talking about the impact of heartbreak. If it happens, the impact of heartbreak on the mind and on our emotions.
Anytime you speak to somebody who will sharply cut in and say, I do not want you to bring this up, I don't want it. That is a manifestation of a repressed, painful issue.
Lifeline airs every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. prompt, only on Channel 1 TV.
No power.
Another year is here, a new beginning, a fresh opportunity to draw closer to God and to one another. This family month, your family radio station, 97.3 CDFM, invites you and your loved ones to something truly special. The 2026 Family Consecration Service, a sacred gathering where families come together in prayer, faith, and unity. It's a moment to dedicate your home to God's loving care, to seek His protection, His guidance, and His peace over every household. Come and experience divine connection as we pray for strength, restoration, unity, and direction for our families. Married couples will also have the opportunity to renew their vows, reaffirming love, commitment, and purpose. The date is Friday, the 1st of May, 2026, from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. The venue is the Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel, Accra. Bring your entire family and come expectant. And let's commit our homes into God's hands. 2026 Family Consecration Service is powered by 97.3 CDFM with support from Channel 1 TV, because the family that prays together stays together.
Calls me in the power for Christ the solid.
In a a world where digital media is taking over, one conversation is bringing the past, present, and future of media together. The Africa Media Bureau invites you to a one-day media convergence conference uniting faculties of media and communication studies, industry practitioners, regulators, and technology partners across Ghana. Theme: Media Convergence in Ghana, rethinking traditional media in a digital-first era. A bold conversation on how traditional media and digital technologies are transforming media practice and education. Date: 29th April 2026. Time: 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Venue: La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. If you are a senior media practitioner, a CSO engaged in media advocacy, or a lecturer or trainer in media management, this conference is for you. WhatsApp 0503 332 375 to register. Be a part of the conversation shaping the future of media. The Africa Media Bureau One-Day Media Convergence Conference is powered by the Africa Media Bureau in association with the School of Information and Communication Studies, University of Ghana, Legon, and it's proudly sponsored by MTN, Haptel, Margins Group, and GCB Bank. The Africa Media Bureau One-Day Media Convergence Conference, connecting minds, transforming media.
Yeah, welcome back. This is the big issue on 97.3 CTFM and on Channel 1 television. Let's talk about the energy sector, petroleum to be more specific. A decision has been taken by the government of Ghana to cushion us. But if you look at what the government is absorbing on a litre of diesel versus what it is absorbing on a litre of petrol, a huge imbalance. I don't know why they did that though, but people buy more petrol than diesel, I think. I mean, for private car users, unless maybe the target is commercial car users who maybe do the Benz bars and maybe they use diesel. I don't know what the calculations are. Meanwhile, the reason we are having all this discussion is because somebody is throwing a bomb somewhere in the Middle East, and that is worrying us. So the Strait of Hormuz, which is a very narrow passageway between the state of Oman, UAE, and Iran. Iran claims ownership of that particular water body. We saw that last night. The Iranians had said they have limited that, but Dankanamwa is just telling me that it has gone back to being locked. Dankanamwa, what's happening in the Middle East? How is that affecting us? And the government's intervention, what can they do better and what have they done well?
Sander, supply, demand and supply. We have the demand. And then a choke point where a good amount of supply is coming from is encumbered. So there's a challenge. And as of last night, when you listen to the International Maritime Authority, that choke point allows about 130 vessels a day at peak. That's the flow a day. As we speak, they have over 1,600 of these cargoes or tankers, stuck at the other side, and they are not able to move because of fears, of course, of being attacked. Sander, if you do the numbers, it's staggering how much one tanker, right, can hold. Then you do the numbers times 1,600. That is how much the world has been denied of. And so once demand remains at the levels they are, prices will naturally go up. And so just about 2-3 weeks ago, the president invited civil society organizations to a meeting in Ghana on diverse issues. One of the issues that I think I raised personally was to do with, ensuring that we do something about oil prices. And then again, the need to also even build the gas processor 2, the GPP2. You just saw this week that Ghana Gas had some issue and some trip off, and there's doomsday on all of us. So I think that that matter has also not received enough attention. But clearly, if it is supplying as much gas to your thermal plants to give you light in your homes, I don't think that us running on train 1 alone is sufficient. But that is on the other side. When we met Mr. President some of the issues that came to the fore. Then he promised that he was going to convey a meeting to look at. So we heard there was a cabinet meeting. He had instructed, or cabinet had instructed, energy and finance ministries to do something about the fuel pricing and see how government intervention would help. We had made a proposition of 1 cedi 65 pesos together with Imani, IES, and InstaPR. As it turned out, there were other plans. The questions we have asked of the other plans, you won't get the answers in the public domain. But what we so far have gleaned or gathered is that there were some monies or windfalls or some of the margins, right? Their accruals were significant to be able to, as it were, offset whatever interventions that government intends to put in. So was it on Wednesday, there was the announcement that they were doing, government was doing 2 Ghana cedi a litre drop for diesel and then 36 pesos for petrol. The understanding I have is that the cost of diesel had gone so high. In fact, if you look at the disparity between the price of petrol, which was around 13, and diesel, which had crossed 17, but for the intervention could have gone to about 19 the following window. I think that decision was proactive. And it was foresighted, not short-sighted. Government could tell that cost of diesel could become quite too high, and a section of your population, almost 40%, that depend on that product. It's more than 40 because
it's now almost
at par. But it used to be a little less than petrol. You do diesel about 230. Million liters a month. Petrol could do about 250, but it's not too much, the disparity. And so a section of your population that depend on diesel are probably coughing out too much. So government says that two cedis here, 36 pesos. The overall effect as of yesterday, when the pumps, reflected the government intervention, is that for people who buy diesel, you are getting about 3 pesos less if you put in the 36 pesos. And those who buy diesel, it's come to about 16. So instead of the 17 to have moved to 15, don't forget there was already an anticipated upward adjustment that could have taken it to 18, 17, 18, 19. And so if you do that, then diesel now comes to around 16. And petrol does about 3 pesos less. The good thing is what you asked. The OMCs themselves are still trying to drop a few margins here and there. But the truth is that you cannot pinpoint to specific taxes that the government is removing.
They didn't say.
And I think that it is a very wise decision, because if the government had gone ahead,
I'll tell you what they do.
Okay.
If the government has gone, you tell me what they've removed.
I'll tell you.
To get to the two cedis.
So let's
if you give me the specifics, I'll be happy.
You are a consumer. He was
if
once
he gives me
a
the
regulator.
specifics, I'll be happy.
Please give us the filler.
Give us the specifics.
How did they
Give
get
us the
this?
specifics.
Where did they knock it off from?
So what it is that we have special petroleum tax sitting alone, which is about 46 pesos per liter. And then you have all these levies. So you have 3 categories. You have the special petroleum tax, which is separate. Then you have all these levies. Then you have the margins. The SPT and the levies all come straight to the Minister for Finance. And they are all born out of laws that have been passed by Parliament. So to tinker with them, you need to go back to Parliament. All right? So the government didn't want to do that. And on top of that, the Finance Minister didn't want to lose anything.
There should be guarantee.
He wanted to keep everything. So then he puts the burden. And so if you had the CEO of Comac, he says that this is a burden that is being carried by the industry, and that is the truth.
Okay. How?
So gross margin off. UPPF margin, which is 90 pesos, is gone. Boss margin, which is 12 pesos, is gone. PDM margin, which is 26 pesos, is gone. Then you have the fuel market margin, 0.09 pesos. That one has also gone. Altogether, that's about 137, 1 CD, 37 pesos. Now, the government is doing 2 CDs. So what it means that there is a shortage of 63 pesos. And that is where the government is saying that they are subsidizing the consumer. Don't forget that in the price build-up, these taxes, levies, and margins account for over 30% of the price. You are taking 32% from me, and you say that you are subsidizing me for 63 pesos. So the industry is going to be stretched, especially the MPA.
How about BOST?
BOST is going to be stretched.
So the margin that has been taken, the BOST margin that has been taken.
For 1 month.
But BOST is a limited liability company. They should be able to make their own money. Why should we be giving them a margin?
You see, yes, there's that discussion about whether or not BOST should continue to receive that margin, because now we have a lot of private depots. So we used to rely on BOST as a strategic storage infrastructure. But I disagree, because you see, BOST would operate in places where private people will not go.
So treat it
For
as a national
instance,
asset.
you have a depot in Boga. For diesel, you have about 33 million liter storage. And for petrol, you have about 30 million liter storage. That Boga storage alone is more than the entire storage infrastructure for Mali. You have pipelines moving from Bupe to Boga Depot, 260 plus kilometers. I'm not too sure whether it is profitable enough for a private sector person to go and put that investment. So, and then you have the pipeline, also over 100 kilometer pipeline from Accra Place to Akosombo, where you pump, exactly. So you pump the product through the pipeline and then into the barges.
Private people will not do that.
Private people will not go there.
So let's keep BOST protected.
So yes, let's have BOST
MPA.
there.
How MPA going to suffer?
So the MPA and indeed the OMCs and transporters are the ones who are going to suffer. So there is a reliance on reserves that have been accrued. MPA reserves that have been built over the period. But what it is that on a monthly basis, MPA has to transfer this UPPF margin. It's made to pay for the cost of distribution from inland depots to various stations across the country. So they submit the returns, they are validated, and then payments are made to the OMCs. Now, if you don't receive almost about 500 million cedis monthly inflows, if you don't receive that, that is going to create a huge gap.
How will you pay them?
Precisely. Now, they are relying on maybe reserves that have been built over the years, but even these reserves are used to service operators in the downstream industry. For instance, you have the electronic cargo tracking system, the automatic tank gauging system, and so on and so forth. And then you have the fuel marking.
Yes, I was going to ask what the marking does and how is it going to be affected?
Marking is also to serve 2 purposes.
Is that why you put the chemical in
exactly. There? So you infuse the chemical.
So this is a standard matter.
It's a standard.
And we are tinkering with the standard of the fuel.
So what it is that MPA is going to be owing these guys. Either they find a way to dip into their reserve if they have any money to pay them, or they go for loans.
How about if we stop the marking completely? We should say that for...
Now, that is one of the things that also gives us an indication of what is taxable and what's not taxable. So GRA also relies on it.
Okay.
It also deals with, product that is meant for consumption within the country and those ones that are meant for exports. So without the marking, in fact, not marking is of marking. But if you have all the products not marked, it creates a problem. You're going to have contraband in the country, and you are not able to identify which one.
Smuggling will be easier.
Exactly.
We'll
so that is also a challenge. Now, PDM margin is a margin that deals with the cost of transporting the products from the coastal, from the what's the name?
From the ports.
From the coastal depots to the inland depots.
Yes.
And it also includes carrying the products through the barges on the Volta Lake to be
the
paid.
north.
And so that's what is used to pay the transporters who haul all these products across the country.
So that prices will be the same everywhere.
Precisely. So MPA is really going to suffer as far as this is concerned.
Interesting.
And so as far as I'm concerned, I think that the finance minister missed an opportunity. Because you see, really and truly, the benchmark pricing that we use for the 2026 budget for crude oil on the upstream is $76 per barrel. At the rate at which we are going, we are doing about
72 rather.
76, I think 76, 76.3 or something. Now, at the rate that we were producing, the estimated rate is about 37.95 million barrels for this year. Now, given that prices have been hovering around 100, 118, 120, especially Brent.
Huge windfall.
Exactly, there's a windfall. And the windfall is raking in not less than 8 billion Ghana cedis.
So what should you do with that?
Now, you are bringing in, at the very least, about 7.5 billion cedis in terms of the Dumsor levy alone. So what you are losing from taking down Dumsor levy, you will gain more than what you'll be losing from the upstream. And so the proposal is that, look, let's go that route. Because what you are losing, you are gaining more. You are not going to lose anything. So the windfall would more than set off for what you are going to lose. And then you can talk about probably halving the UPPF margin, you can have boss margin, you can, a bit of everything so that there is stability in the space. But right now, within 1 month, I'm not too sure what MPA is going to be. They won't be crying. But knowing what I know, you do not want shortages. If MPA fails to pay these transporters and these OMCs, trust me, you're going to find, you're going to find queues.
I wanted you to wrap up. I want to hear from Robert Diako.
No, I'll come in.
Okay.
Let them do.
All right.
At least the intervention is useful. And I agree with him that there's a missed opportunity. But there's also been a very clever, attempt at managing the situation. Missed opportunity to the extent that some of the taxes you have on the price build-up have outlived their uses, honestly.
But the revenue is good.
It's very good.
It's still very good.
We still want to maintain them. The special petroleum tax, for instance, was brought in as a stopgap measure when crude prices had dropped. It came in 2016 January.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
considerably dropped.
Crude prices that we had projected about 65 were trading around 38, 40, 42. So government needed to make for that gap because we are producing and exporting. So we put the SPT in there. As we speak, you are getting more than even you're projected in your own budget. And so you don't know why the special petroleum tax will continue to accrue. But like you said, finance ministers do not want to give, on taxes. There's also an overlap between the PDM and the UPPF.
They're doing the same thing?
They are doing the same thing, but they've not averted their minds to it. Look, if you are saying that you are moving product from the coastal to inland depots, the consumer should pay 24 pesos separately. What's the purpose? You want to make sure product is available across and at prices that will not inconvenience those far from the coastal areas as you move inland towards the northern and other spaces that are hundreds of kilometers apart. So PDM. Then you put in UPPF, right? To say that UPPF should now move the product from the depots,
the inner depots,
to the filling stations or the outlets. The one that moves from coastal to Bupe to Bolga is 24. The one that moves from, say, Bolga
to Navrongo
or Bolga to a station in Bolga, the Bolga depot to a station in Bolga, is 90 pesos. Sanda, if this is not an overlap and some overlay, just to be able to get the consumer to pay more, I do not know. So,
but that's because you are not thinking that there's one that is moving from Bupe to Bole. That's very far. You have to balance it up.
Agreed.
So it's the cross.
You see, we will come to me. We will do the revenue or the tax rationalization. But you see, why I said the government has been clever is that if it had come out publicly to say that, okay, I have taken out the 1 cedi Dumsor levy for 1 month. I have taken out UPPF 90 pesos for 1 month.
Maybe 45.
And I have taken this, like we proposed. I have taken this. If the government had come out to indicate those tax positions, the challenge of government coming back after a month to say that I'm coming to reimpose everything would have been met with some push to Sanda. So that is why it's been very clever. The missed opportunity is also, like Tampoli said, in the fact that it could have, used the window to really, realistically, go down on some of the taxes that clearly we can go down on. One of them, again, is the UPPF. 90 pesos under almost 1 Ghana cedi, just to move products that you have brought to, let's say, APD, to a station, say, in Tema or in whatever. 90 pesos. Then later.
That's oversimplification.
You see, just with all due respect, you see, if
you introduce zonalization, I didn't want to go into that one.
Let me
zonalization says don't pick the product from Tema and take to Tumu. That's what your policy said.
Let me just make this quick point. Let me just make this quick point. Those who sell cement, when you buy cement in Accra, it's cheaper than when you buy in Suhum.
Okay.
Because you put the transportation in there.
Oh.
It's also more expensive when you buy in Kumasi, Tichima, Tamale, all the way.
Because they don't have what you have.
Exactly. But so nationally, you are supposed to buy product from Guel. The price that you buy in Pong, where the depots are, should be the same price you buy at Hamili border. So that we don't have disharmony. So some people are subsidizing for others. So if you say 90 pesos is used to take care of, you'll be simplifying the issue.
No, but you brought zonalization. Okay. And zonalization says don't pick Sandaway.
I have 5 minutes to go and I want to hear my Akwetia people.
We'll come to him. Zonalization says don't pick the product, right? Just from anywhere and travel by road. Except that, of course, the political economy around UPPF also says that it is profitable for me to use the BRV from Tema and take it to Tamale.
And since you are the politician who owns the BRV,
exactly.
It's easy to do that.
I didn't know that.
He said he didn't know that the politicians own the BRV.
I don't own one.
He said he's
No, you know you. Some politicians.
Whereas boss should have probably moved the product through the VLC, the badge, through to, Bupe and to Bolga, so that I could pick from there. We would rather want to pick from Tema and come and money on the UPPF.
All right, let me conclude.
Yes. For me, it's commendable.
Right. Yeah.
It's commendable. At least we may have wished for more, but it's commendable. There is a government that really have the people at heart. Sure. That in trying moments like this, the government has, wherever it came from, we know there's been some reduction. Absolutely. And you see, I was surprised when Honorable went on the tangent of windfall, and it happened during their era when they were talking about COVID and Russia-Ukraine war and all that. Diesel hit, I think, 23 cities at some point. Of course, didn't we have some windfall at the time?
No, the economy was hard.
No, you don't go into that because I disagree. If we have time, we will deal with it.
Okay, there was an opportunity for windfall.
Of course, like he's saying, what did they do?
Yeah, we did. We removed price stabilization.
Stabilization, that was 16. Hold on, 16 pesos. And then you brought Bola tax. Please relax for me.
Which
And
was
then
1 CD.
you brought Bola tax.
Yes.
You also increased the energy debt recovery fund.
Why is it still there?
No, it's not about today. I'm
No,
talking
we
about
didn't-
your
we
record.
didn't-
You
we didn't
increased
do energy
it.
debt
Oh, you
recovery.
increased it.
Please. But you have
Chief,
increased the thing.
you increased it. It's not today. You
I'll
increased
give you
it.
1
That
minute.
is your
Let them-
record. You increased it.
You give me 1 minute.
You increased it. So you see, this is the record you have. Today you are saying the same thing today.
Unbelievable.
Yes. You increased it. Check the
The
record.
levies were 95 pesos. You increased them to 1 CD 95 pesos. And you are here talking about hours.
Which one?
He-
Which
he-
levy?
You remove them.
Which
increase the
levy? Which levy are you talking about?
What he
No,
said is valid.
no, you see,
but
please,
what I'm saying
please.
is-
During the
No.
Russia-Ukraine, you see,
Yes.
during the Russia-Ukraine,
Yes.
when prices tanked to about, is it 23.43?
Yes.
Your
And just
government,
for-
your government
relax.
no, fine. Your
Your
government
government,
at the time
yes.
refused to work with Ghanaians. That is on record.
Yes.
No,
You
that's
see,
not true.
no, it is because
You
yes,
only did
that's
price
not true.
that's what you did, and that was 16.
Yes,
16,
but let me
14,
even
and
correct you.
16.
Let me
Right.
even correct you. You see,
Okay.
at the time, this 23 city, it was trigger pricing.
Okay.
It stayed for just less than 1 week, not even
No
after the
problem.
time.
But you brought
Just
you
it
brought
came down
Bola
almost
tax.
immediately.
Yes.
But you brought Bola
But
tax.
see,
wait,
but
wait,
see,
though,
but
wait.
Bola tax is still there.
We did
No, it's not about whether it's there or
let
not.
me-
You
let me-
brought Bola
let me-
tax
let me-
during the period we were
I don't
suffering.
Within the period when it came down, it
Yes.
was hovering around 18, 19.
Yes.
You
Yes.
still didn't remove
You
taxes.
didn't.
But you see, it wasn't just products on the international markets. You
It
understand?
was your currency as
It
well.
was so
And it
other
was
variables.
woeful.
It was the currency.
It was the currency. In fact, that was it. And in 2024, the currency depreciated over 40%. Just
We were building the
2024.
reserves, energy.
And you see now when you mention it, you go there. He said other variable. The currency.
You
The
have called
currency.
them IMF and the World
The
Bank.
currency.
But
Together
what
we
we
are
did,
taking this time.
Allow me.
but just a quick point.
Oh, what? You
we
take-
try to merge the PP,
Go explain that.
the UPPF and the PDM. I think it's in the proposed draft bill. So when the bill is done, I believe that it should be brought in the next meeting. You are going to have a measure of the PDM.
So you see your record.
You have 1 minute
Yes,
from
so
me.
your record in a similar era was woeful.
So they don't have clean hands.
At all. So I'm surprised it is look, it is bad. For me, so you come and
You have given us
your record there. Because you see, we are talking about
32%.
we are talking about
22% is tax.
we are
And
talking
you left it
about
at what?
We left it at 25.
no, you see, don't go there. You see,
No, it was at 25.
We left it at 25.
Cost per liter was higher.
absolutely.
You went and brought.
Absolutely. You see that we are talking about which government manages.
Of 70.
So it's
It's
manageable.
manageable now.
So it's higher but manageable.
Absolutely. So I'm
Okay.
surprised your record then. You see, you allow me, but you see, your record in crisis like this. Hey, that was the time you brought Bola tax. Are you saying it's not about whether it's there or not? It's still there. Did you?
I beg you.
It was not.
Let's be very clear with the facts.
Okay.
In 2020, when COVID struck,
Yes.
Ghanaians enjoyed electricity free.
Hey!
No, please.
Hey!
That is for the record. Ghanaians enjoyed electricity free.
That is
That is really not true. That is not even true. It was just for lifeline consumers. That's not true. Just lifeline. They always put in the public that Ghanaians were. It's not true. You know it's not. Why are you not paying? Listen, why are you not paying?
Listen, the volumes are
Lifeline.
going down.
The one bob thing.
The volumes are
you
going down
see,
because nobody was driving.
in as much
You
as
understand?
in
How
as
far
much
the
as
taxes were not even coming.
It's not true. In fact, you exceeded your tax target.
Everyone was compared.
Exceeded.
You understand? So, and then we are paying for what we enjoy.
Honorable Hassan Tamboli.
We are paying by electricity.
We are paying for what we enjoy.
Honorable
1 year.
So you enjoyed electricity free. You did.
Honorable Hassan Tampoli.
Yeah,
Thank you so
real.
much. Honorable Bedia.
Please. Ghanaians never enjoyed.
Thank you so much. Duncan,
You've done
my
thank you so
Omar,
much.
you've done.
Justice Abdullah.
I thought you were going to let me wrap.
We are grateful. We'll continue next week. This has been the big issue on 97.3 CTFM on Channel 1 TV. I am Omar Rusanda. We return next week with more. Please stay with us.